Here you go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Jaffe Talks. Jaffe Talks is kind of just like, we'll got some game news today. We're going to do Gabbing Games this afternoon, of course, and then we'll do just kind of a little bit of game news, a little bit of game discussion, shoot the shit, call-ins this morning, doing a little interview sleuthing, trying to find some shit out. Good to see everybody. Welcome to your morning, or at least here in San Diego. It's about 11 o'clock, 10:45. Tech Protect says to me, our producer says to me last night, he's out there pounding the pavement trying to get sponsors for the show. And he's had some luck here and there. And he said, we talked last night. He said, I got 2 rejections today, Jaffe. I said, all right, well, I'm curious. Who were they? And fuck it, I'll tell you. One was, I guess, Razer Computers, and the other was Logitech, which didn't surprise me, but and I said, well, what would they say? And the gist of it, I guess, was it's just not a good fit for our brand, which is not untrue. It is absolutely not untrue. But, whenever you hear that, you think about just how sanitized so much of culture is. Everything you see on TV, even the stuff that promotes itself as real and raw, is still all the rough edges are sanded down. You ever think about how fucked up our society is because we put this false front of our humanity out in the world all the time in terms of our media, and then people grow up thinking, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be. How many fucking kids grew up in those homes watching these TV shows going, my family's fucked because it's not like it is on the TV. Probably this younger generation's a little different now, I would imagine, because they have, not to say people on YouTube aren't full of shit either. A lot of them are, but there is more realness on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, if you can find it, right? And so maybe the younger generation, the alphas and the Gen Zs or whatever the world, don't have those same expectations. But I remember being a kid. Yeah, Brett Moore in the chat says Disney fucked me up. I mean, I remember being a kid, and I don't think I got fucked up by it, but I do remember seeing these like perfectly wholesome homes, and there was no arguing, there was no dysfunction, there was no yelling. It was just like, oh, what that, how lucky. And I'm like, dude, it's now. I would pull that kid aside and say, dude, it's fucking fake, man. Don't you know that? Da Vinci's Demons want you to know. Oh, blackjack. My hemorrhoid bleeds, he says, every now and then. Let me tell you something. I was at E3 once. This is a blood in the stool story. Shut up. This is welcome to the show. What the fuck kind of? And I'm why won't Logitech sponsor us? I don't understand. I'm at E3. This is probably 2006, 2007, and and I go to the bathroom, and I see on the toilet paper a little bit of blood. Now, the whole E3 was ruined for me because I'm walking through the show trying to enjoy myself going, I have butt cancer. I know I have butt cancer. Turned out it was no such thing. But, when you're like 29, whatever, how old I was, and you don't fucking know, you're not, you don't go to the doctor and they talk about this stuff because there's no reason to. That's what you think is happening. You got the cancer of the buttocks, and it ruined that year's E3 for me. It might have been 2006. It was the year Beautiful Joe was there, I think. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, get a bidet. You got to get a bidet. Bidet's the best, baby. I had beet juice. No, it was my blood. Who else's blood would it be, Ivan? Yeah, Wayne says I'm finally becoming a woman. You goddamn right. That's what it was. I wasn't prepared. Who else's blood would it be? And here's a tip for you. I'm going to bring in a caller in a second who goes by D, but he's probably calling for this advice. If you go to the bathroom and you ever see blood in there, and it's dark, go to the goddamn ER, because that means you've got internal bleeding. Now, D, listen, buddy, if you go to the ER, or if you go to the bathroom and it's bright red, don't worry about it. It's like fissure, hemorrhoid. You strain too hard, or, this is all right. It's all right.
I wasn't going to talk.
What's up, D? How's your butthole doing?
Um. Okay. I wasn't kind of hoping to talk about this. I was.
Hey, that's what
I'm sort of new to
we're
pre-chat.
we're real raw talk. So you called in to talk about your butthole. My producer says, "Talk to me about your butthole. What's going on?"
Um. Damn, I didn't expect it to be the subject.
It's not the subject. What do you want to talk about, buddy? I don't care. I'm just fucking with you. What's going
Okay.
on?
Okay.
Come on.
I guess
Come on, D.
I guess the one thing I wanted to talk about because I'm currently doing a project,
Yes.
and the more and more I do the project, the more and more I sort of like looking at it. And the one thing I noticed is like, uh, we kind of live in this YouTube age, and I sort of acknowledge it. But like, there's not that much stuff for kids, and no matter how much YouTube try to make it safe for kids, they're not gonna be stuff for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then that lead to beside Nintendo, um,
Are you trying
there
to
are
say
not that many.
are you making, when you say a project, you're making a video game?
I'm making a audio drama.
An audio drama. Okay. And you're doing it and you want to make it for kids.
It's all ages, but
Okay. All
kids
right.
part of the demographic.
All right. So what about it? What's going on? What do you want to talk to me about?
But I was about to get to the actual subject.
Oh, how's your butthole?
No.
Come on, D. Get in there. All right. So what's the subject?
Okay, the actual subject. Then it led to me when there are not that many games for kids anymore. Video games like there are few. They're Nintendo, but you have to get an entirely different console to play kids games. If you don't want your kids playing, like games like Mortal Kombat and RE and all this other stuff.
Okay.
And I sort of did question, why that the case?
It's not the case. You're wrong. But it's not the
Okay.
case because you're young and you probably don't have kids, I would imagine, correct?
I don't have kids. Sorry.
Right. So my kids are now, they're adults, but they had tons of games that were not console games coming up. They were on their cell phones, tablets, PCs, Roblox, Fortnite, PBS Kids when they were really young. The Disney Channel has a bunch of games on their website and on their cell phones. So that's really what they're playing. And honestly, it really is fascinating to see as they age up, what it is that they're playing now, because my generation came up, and maybe yours, that we would grow up with Atari, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, whatever, and then we would get into PlayStation.
I grew up on Wii, so don't
Right,
lump me in there.
Well, no, I am lumping you in there because Wii is still a home console where you could play, Galaxy 2, you could play Skyward Sword. There were games like what we call traditional games. And I don't see the younger generation really spending a lot of time in those spaces anymore. I don't know if that's going to be a sort of something that is relegated to the indie space and the AA space or what, but I don't know a lot of younger kids that come up really giving a shit about, hey, there's a new, sequel to fucking, I don't know, Final Fantasy. I'm sure there are some, but not like it used to be. Anyway, point is, yes, there aren't maybe. Okay, so why? You want to make a kids game? Is that what you're saying? Why are you calling me, D? There's an entire alphabet of 20 fucking 5 letters that are missing you. What is it that you want to talk about?
I
Are
get
you
to that.
masturbating right now? What's happening?
No.
What are you doing?
I get to talking to you.
Yeah, but it's not you're on a show. You know that, D, right?
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, how's life? How's life treating you? On a scale of 1
life
to 10?
is sort. I put it at maybe 6.
Okay, what's the one thing that could happen to you today that would bump it from a 6 to a 7?
I've been thinking on doing more stuff.
Like what?
beside the audio drama down the line. And one of those things is getting in the game development.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of opportunity out there. I mean, you should do it on your own. I wouldn't go into the business, but make your own business.
Oh
Make your own
yeah.
games.
Business is one of those chew you in, chew you out sort of things.
Yeah. But if you want to, make some games. Call back when you got one. We'll talk about it. D, thank you for calling. Ollie says hugs from him to you. D, everybody wants your 6 to go up to a 7. Have a better day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, buddy. Let me bring in Dark Shadow real quick. Oh, tell me, Morgan, to move on. D was in distress. D needed a friend at that point. D needed someone to connect with him. Now, I don't want to lose viewers on this show. I want to bring Dark Shadow in. I want to bring Pompous in. I want to talk to you guys in the chat. I want to talk about all kinds of things. Did you know conjoined twins? There's a pair of conjoined twins that were born in 2006, and they share part of their brain. They might be dead by now, but they share part of their brain. And they actually, scientists looked at them and they said there are actual aspects of their consciousness that are the same. So some thoughts they have are individual and some are shared feelings, shared thoughts. Okay, we can talk about that, but I got to bring Dark Shadow in. He's a man in distress. He's sad. He's upset. He's worried. Why are you so goddamn upset all the time, Dark Shadowy Place?
Shit, man. I don't know. You can hear me?
I can hear you. What's going on? I see you still got your Christmas lights up.
No, those are my all year lights.
Oh yeah? How's the Hallmark Channel these days?
What are you talking about?
I don't know why you got fucking little fairy lights. I mean, fairy like Fairy Tinkerbell, not like I'm not being.
I don't know.
I'm judging you. I'm judging you. I don't give a shit.
Right.
I think they look good. What's up, Dark Shadow? What do we want to talk about?
The other day, I think it was yesterday, Tech Protect asked the chat, what's one feature that should be in every game?
Yes.
And I was wondering do you think that the PS6 PC, whenever the PS6 comes out or whatever,
are you crying?
Probably.
Good
I'm
God,
really
man.
high.
Oh, good for you. Okay, so what's the feature?
I was thinking, do you think that there's going to be AI built in to the point where I could be like, this boss is really hard. Hey, PlayStation, can you slow this boss down?
You are crying. You are absolutely crying.
Or, hey, PlayStation, can you change the color on pickup items? And it just like the AI just automatically does all of these features that people are asking for, and it's just kind of built into the system.
So my answer is yes-ish. I mean, you've already seen, I want to say either PlayStation or Xbox. I think it was PlayStation did one of their patent filings for sort of an AI that plays the game with you, right? And then there have been variants on this. There have been variants like it's an actual avatar that's with you in the game, or it's an NPC, or it's just a disembodied voice. You can do that now. I have done it on this channel. I've played games like 7 Days to Die on the channel with ChatGPT voice open. And I not only was like, hey, I don't understand this map icon. What's the skull mean? And it immediately says to you, it'll tell you. It's like, oh, the skull means a lot of people have died there. Based on your level, you should be careful. It's awesome. And then I said, well, hey, ChatGPT, pretend you are let's role play this. So we're in this zombie infested world. I still need all your help playing the game, but be an AI, but be a character. And she was like, okay, cool. And we did it in Stalker too. So yes, I absolutely believe that you are going to see that. I don't know if that's necessarily coming from a place of hardware in terms of it's like an API. It sits on top of every game and Sony demands it, or if it's specifically to an individual game. But yes, that is absolutely the way we're going. And you can already do it. It doesn't take much. All it takes is a ChatGPT subscription if you play on PC or not, put it on your phone and just sit there with it and play a PlayStation game. Say, hey, I'm playing Elden Ring. Pretend you're a voice in my head. And when I talk to you, it's cool. It's very, very cool. And imagine what happens when a real writer gets a hold of it. Imagine if someone, whatever you may think of Neil Druckmann, let's say Neil Druckmann and the team decides to put ChatGPT or some kind of large language model NPC stuff into dialogue with these characters in The Last of Us Part 3 or whatever.
Right.
you're going to have a much more immersive sense. I'm playing a game right now called AI People, and it's basically The Sims, but you can type and use your microphone and set up parameters. So I could create a character called Dark Shadowy Place, and I could say he cries I'm not fucking with you, but I could say he cries all the time. He's always high, and he's convinced we live in a simulation, right? And it would take that parameter, and everything that character says to me when it makes sense is built on those parameters. So it's not just going to be some Alexa that has no real personality. It's going to be based on what the writers say. I think it's a fascinating future. I'm excited to be here for it.
Yeah, and I know on the PlayStation 5 right now, you can go into the settings and you can essentially set games to be at easy, medium, or hard, but it's like in the console settings. Have you ever used that or noticed it ever working?
Now I'm a
Like
little confused.
it's supposed to like it's in the console settings of the PlayStation, and then it's supposed to automatically change the difficulty of the game that you boot up.
I will try it tonight. I'm not even aware. I assume, well, okay, if you're saying you change it in the console settings in every game you boot up, if there is a setting that matches easy, medium, and hard, it will just default to that without you having to set it. I've never tried that, but that makes sense. But that would make sense. What would not make sense or surprise me would be that if there is this meta that sits on top of every game, and the PlayStation, brings its own kind of tuning to every game, regardless of your settings, because the meta of your PlayStation settings are, I want my games super hard. I don't think that's what you're talking about. But if it just automatically goes in and sets what the developer has set, so you don't have to do it, I could believe that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
but
I've never actually seen it work. I know that it has that feature. I've just never actually seen a game utilize it. So I didn't know if the AI thing was a hardware thing that they put in the next generation, would developers have to I guess say yes, I want this to work with my game, or
well, if
would the
you're talking
PlayStation
about
just override it?
if you're talking about difficulty tuning, I don't think we're there yet. I don't think there is so much of difficulty is it's determined and defined differently depending on game to game. So I don't think that PlayStation would be so foolish to tell every developer, if you want to make games for PlayStation, you have to write your AI in a certain way so that we can then get our hooks, our actual hooks in it, and tune it based on user settings. I don't think that, but I do think they'll have AI more in terms of hey, there's a database for playing this game. I'm stuck in Astrobot. Where is the last what are you, puzzle pieces or whatever it is you're collecting to get the robots? Where's the last robot? Where's the last hidden robot? And it'll be I can either tell you, would you like a hint? Would you like a subtle hint? I see where you're standing. Let me just give you a hint. All you need to know is you're within 10 feet of what you need to do next, right? That's available now on ChatGPT, and that will be integrated, I believe, based on some of the patents they've filed. But what you're talking about, no, I think that's going to be software side for a while until people start to figure out. So, and seriously, it's not that bad, buddy. Life goes on. You'll be all right. Thank you, bud.
It was all right talking to you. It's
you as well.
I actually met you in person 2015 PlayStation experience in San Francisco.
What did you think? What did you think of me? How was I?
You are exactly the fucking same.
Was I delightful? And did I surprise and delight?
I mean, you were talking to a lot of people. We didn't talk long, but yeah, you were. All right.
No, hang on, stop. This was PlayStation Experience. I thought was in Vegas. So they did one in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I know they did two. I guess maybe the first one was in San Francisco or Vegas.
No,
second one, San Francisco. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I meet a lot of people, but joking aside, I'm glad I met you. I'm glad we had a nice. I hope you had a good interaction with me, and hopefully we'll see each other in the future, and you'll call back in.
All right.
I appreciate you. Thanks for being a good sport. I'm just fucking with you, but thanks for calling in. I appreciate it, bud.
It's all good, man. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
You too. All right. Let's bring in Pompish. Actually, hey, Tech Protect, you're here, right? I see Tech Protect. What do you mean it's fair? What do you mean it's fair? What does that mean? Like the lighting? Okay. I want that AI to treat me like shit. The robot is right here, you dumb blind bastard. Yeah, there you go. Okay, Pompish is back. Pompish is driving his truck. What's up, pal?
Over.
It's bad connection. What's going on?
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, hold on. Let me move out of the way a little bit here. It'll be good.
No, you're calling my show. You're on. The fuck? All right, what do you want? What's going on, buddy?
Hey, what I want? You're a dick. I met you in person. You were a dick.
Did we meet in person?
No, never. I wish I did. You're awesome. Hey, man, I was just gonna follow up with a couple things, and the real question I want to ask you is about like what's on physical games. But let's start with the juicier stuff. I don't want to forget about that though. We talked about the simp thing last time, right?
The simp thing, yes.
Yeah. So you aren't a simp. I feel like you're sensitive towards that when people said that.
I don't mind being a simp. I find it offensive because why can't you just say, oh, if you think I like a woman and I am flirting with a woman, just say that and I'll tell you if I am or not. But simping implies things that like a real man or just a real adult would be like, why would you need to put negative connotations?
Well, I guess these Gen Z kids, simping is basically like, gassing a woman up with no potential of getting laid. You mentioned it and I just said you were.
How do you know if you have potential of getting laid if you don't try?
Well, I guess on the outside perspective, I would judge it that way. What it was the first time I ever watched your live stream, and hopefully we're talking about the same girl. She was like I think she was part Asian, maybe. We're talking about the same girl, right? The interview? I don't remember her name.
Last week, I did an interview with a woman named Alyssa.
No, it was an Asian girl. She was Asian mixed.
I mean, how long ago was this?
Oh, like a month. That's the one everybody's talking about, right? Or are they talking about just the last week?
They're saying I'm
maybe
simping.
You've just been simping everywhere. I don't know.
Maybe I'm simping all over the place. I was just with your mom last night. I got simp all over her face. But the point is, hey, she pays well. I'll do what she says. But look, no, I mean, Alyssa's the one they're saying I was simping for, but I'm not entirely sure.
She was like a brunette girl. Yeah, brunette white.
Was it Gina?
Maybe okay. All right.
Oh yeah, Gina's my pal. Gina's my friend. I'm not simping for her. I used to simp for her if I used to flirt with her and want to date her.
So the dynamic is about a month ago I watched you on your first live stream, and right when I popped on, you were talking about the story of like you guys drinking and you guys made out.
Oh yeah, that wasn't Alyssa. That was Gina. Yes.
Okay, so you've been simping everywhere. So when I watched it,
this is why the birth population is so fucking low. All these kids, it's like, you don't shoot your shot until you shoot your shot. There are people, if you're interested, and you got to let them know. If you want to call that simping, call it simping.
No, I'm just joking.
No, you're not just joking. You're driving a truck and you're planning some kind of terrorist attack. I can tell.
Scented candles.
Fair enough.
So when I watched it, I don't know you or their dynamic, but the only reason that you said it and I said you are, I didn't call you one. I just confirmed you were, and you're not.
I have no problem if you want me to be a simp. I'll be your Huckleberry baby. Fine.
Let me try to get it out. So you were talking about like
that's what she said.
Like, you guys were drinking. Is that Asmund Gold's girlfriend?
God no.
Oh, okay. Somebody else told me that then. But when I was watching, you guys were talking about how you drink and made out one time, and she didn't like really address, like you brought up something that maybe she didn't want to address. So like I was like, oh, he's simping. It was a joke. Like I didn't think anything of it. And I don't know your guys' dynamic, right? I mean,
she was a woman. I met her ages ago, and I find her very smart. She's very connected. She's got a great fucking brain. And when I first met, well, I will get to that. When I first met her, though, or maybe not when I first met her, but after getting to know her a little bit, I was like, hey, I'd like to date her, and we, she actually came on to me the first time. And I'm like, oh, she's interested. This is great. And
that's when you were making God of War.
It was afterwards.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't care. Hey, you play the hand you got, baby. And so, I was like, okay, cool. This could be something. And so I was into her, and, every now and then, like maybe 3 or 4 times something, we would kind of play around with that line, but nothing ever. And she doesn't even remember half of them. So it meant nothing to her. And so, but yeah, no, there was a time when I was like, oh, I'd like to date this woman. She's awesome.
On the outside, just popping in, it was like you were kissing and telling, and I didn't see a lot of like her wanting that conversation. Again, I don't know it. That was just
I don't.
I was going along with everybody else calling you that. I do not think you are one. I really don't
care. Call me that. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I am sitting
I hope
here.
You're not upset with me.
I'm not upset with you. You're too sensitive. Let's go.
Hey, I'm just making sure. Okay, so on the new subject, you are not a simp. I
will be your simp if you like. I don't really care.
You're gonna have to make me a regular, man. Some of these phone calls are a little dry.
What's in it for me?
I'll send you another $5 every once in a while.
All right. Well, yeah, be a member.
Hey, you did really good on that. My buddy genuinely loves God of War, and he gets really mad at that game. It's a very frustrating game.
Excellent. And, so what do you want? What do you want to talk about, Pompous? You're saying the calls are dry. You're starting to get into like I said, if it wasn't for Johnson's and Johnson's last night, your mom and trust me, I know dry, and then we're getting there.
She's more of a Jergens. Wait, isn't that Johnson and Johnson's?
I don't know if they brought them out. The point is, I couldn't get the job done with your mom.
No, somebody said last stream I had really good eyebrows. I don't even pluck them.
I don't care. Why are you calling? Do you really think the audience cares?
I don't know. We'll see. I'll look back at the text.
Yeah, look back. But
so
Joey Fettuccini's in the chat going, "Get this fucker off. I got something to say."
Fuck him. So I with physical media, I collect physical games, right? So you have to make a download when you make the game. Do you know, do I own that game if I never updated it? I never had internet. I buy an Xbox, never used internet, bought a physical game. Is that game mine? I don't understand.
I don't understand. Do you have a physical copy of the CD-ROM?
All my games are physical disc.
You own the physical disc. Depending on the game, more likely than not, though. Certainly, if it's a big budget game, what you own is you have rented a license to put the disc in and play the code that is on the game, but you don't own the code. So could you?
Then why can I play it offline?
You can if it's available to do so.
So, okay. So when it says, I mainly play on Xbox, when it says internet required is the only time a game will not work. I still own the game like a 360 game, as long as it doesn't say online requirement.
You own the disc. I don't know game by game, publisher by publisher. There may be a different legal lease to it but certainly today, if you buy a game, and it says online, even if it's not an online only game, if you need to be hooked to the internet, but even if not, by the nature of buying the disc and putting it in, you don't own the code for it, but you do own the physical disc that you're holding in your hand. It's
an empty disc at that point.
Pretty much, yes.
Well, then why can I? Okay, so if I never plugged my Xbox into the internet, I can grab games and then install it to my Xbox offline and play it. Why can't I do that 30 years from now?
You may be able to, unless the game requires a connection to the internet to even boot up. In some games,
yes, but roughly only 15% of. I don't know. I'm probably wrong.
Then yes, you could do that.
Okay. So I still own some games. Elden Ring doesn't seem to require any of that.
Right. Okay.
So that was pretty much my only real question. The other thing is when I go into Streamlabs and try to talk to you, it disconnects my Bluetooth, and I have to go in and manually reconnect it to be able to talk. Hopefully, I sound better this time.
I love that story.
The pain in the ass. Sorry, that's kind of boring, but
all right. See you, buddy. Anyway. Drive safe out on the streets.
I will.
All right, buddy.
I will.
See you, buddy.
All right, see you, bud.
Joey Fettuccini. How you doing, buddy?
How's it going there,
Jaffe?
Long time talking. What the fuck is this?
I don't know. What's going on with you? How's life?
Still over here. Oh.
No, I got rid of him. He's a good boy.
Life is good, Jaffe. How's it going?
It's going good. Oh, congratulations. Congratulations. How new is new?
6 months.
Oh, the baby. And is it your first baby?
Only one, probably.
How is it? How are you enjoying it? Or right now you're probably exhausted all the time.
Oh, I'm fucking tired, dude.
Yeah.
She's just up at all these weird hours.
Yeah. It goes fast. It goes fast. Enjoy every minute if you're into it.
Yeah, working. I get back. I'm like, damn, I missed this. I missed that. It makes you just want to do what you do,
Yeah. No, I was very lucky because I really was. I was thinking about this the other day. When my kids were born, my second kid was born a little bit after we shipped God of War. And after that, for the most part, other than Bartlett Jones, I was working from home. So I got, even though I traveled and stuff, I got to be there all the fucking time. And what a gift that I didn't even really realize how rare that is. But no, it was great.
Dude. It's like that's a blessing, God's blessing right there. If there is one, if there's a higher power somewhere, you know.
Yep.
My question, I'm gonna make it quick. I've noticed I do a little bit of creating myself, just a little bit.
What kind of creating?
Like social content, video.
Oh, like okay, gotcha.
Yeah. You know, nothing like you.
No, I just know if you meant like you're a painter or you're I know what you meant.
I used to be, but not anymore. I'm a musician, but I not as much anymore. Not with work and with the kid. It's way less. But I've noticed I've been a sub for a long time. I have been what you call a patron or whatever it's called here on YouTube for a few months.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. My question is, I've noticed that there's like a bit of stagnancy for like your subscriber count. Yeah, does that stuff kind of bother you? And you're coming into a new year.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that you would like to fix it? Like anytime you live stream or you do anything like that, you're like, damn, it's just the number's not going up, you know?
Well, I don't say that. I mean, I'm grateful for the audience we have. I'm grateful for the fact that we get what the thing I'm probably most proud about on my streams is that we get really good watch time, right? So we'll get, we may not have the numbers, but in terms of like 1 million people watching, but the people who do watch for a good long time. And that makes me happy. And then, we are growing, but a lot of it is, but I just brought Tech Protect on. He's trying to work with me to help grow the show and stuff like that. But we're always talking about why can't we make it bigger? Why can't we make it more successful? Because I would love to be able to not worry about running out of runway. You only have so much money, and then you're like, well, you've tried it. You couldn't, I don't make the kind of money these big YouTubers make or anything. I've been lucky in my previous career that I've got enough stashed away that I can fuck around and try this. But yeah, I would love to see the stream grow, but it is what it is. And, if you have any advice though, we're all ears. What do you think?
Your advice.
What are we doing wrong?
I mean, what do you think you're doing wrong? Well, let's start there. What do you think you're doing wrong?
Well, Durali says in the chat, and he's not terribly wrong, but he's kind of wrong. But he says Jaffe doesn't want to play the game like most fake YouTubers. He keeps his integrity, but the numbers don't grow. I mean, part of it is you have to recognize that you are more than anything providing a service, right? So this is not a therapy session where Jaffe just gets on and just says whatever the fuck he wants. It feels like that, and it should feel like that, and it is like that sometimes.
Where you are like that, yeah.
Well, it should, it's like that as often as I can, but I also recognize that I've got to deliver what people want. But a lot of it is also that there's a lot of competition, and I can shout and be dramatic, but I want to be able to be genuine. I'd like people to feel that when they come here, I'm not, but people don't really care though. That's the other part. That's, I was talking last night about this Vera Dark thing and how all these people are coming at me now.
I caught the stream last night.
Yeah, and people are coming at me now.
Crazy. I don't even fucking participate in the chat.
Well, let me tell the chat in case they didn't see it, but it's like, people are coming at me now and saying, oh, see, Alyssa Mercante fucked up her lawsuit. And I'm like, guys, it's so clear she didn't. And I brought up the lawsuit on the stream, and I went through the lawsuit part where I'm like, look, this is what you're being told. This is what is. And I think the biggest challenge to me is it's like, I don't think people are that stupid, but maybe the answer is nope. They're pretty much just that stupid because
I don't know if they're stupid or they're trying to bait you. Or...
Well, some are trying to bait me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that to me, I'm like, how do you guys think, you can dislike me and that's fine. You can dislike Alyssa. That's fine. But you're not very smart if you think what she said hurts the lawsuit. If you've read the lawsuit, but they haven't read the lawsuit. And so that makes me go, don't they feel shitty, being these, taking marching orders from these people that clearly you can show are lying to them, but they don't seem to care.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I guess.
Yep.
How do you want to get bigger? How big are you? That's what she said.
Okay, all right. Listen,
I'm
Terry
big
Holistics over here. You getting a little too personal with that. What's with the hat? The Tory Holistics. What's going on?
Oh well, I haven't taken a shower, so I have bedhead.
Oh, okay, I got you.
What do you mean? Tory Holistics is. Look, Tory Holistics is the place here in San Diego that I get my dope from, 100%.
Oh, it's like okay, Holistic is
it's a pot shot.
It's a pot. Okay,
yeah. I love them. They're great, and they have great prices. I trust me. If they would sponsor me, I would love it. I'm not doing shilling for them, but they have great Saturday deals. Really inexpensive. It's good stuff. But anyway, no, that's what that is. Anyway,
I don't know how to get bigger. I think a part of it has to like conform into like a little bit of grifting. Probably you have
we'll use grifting in the right way, because people don't understand when you say grifting, what do you mean?
Well, you kind of bring up an opinion that you don't necessarily believe in. I think that's what grifting.
Oh, okay. So you're lying for money. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Lying for money. Yeah, I think that's a lot of it though. Like I don't do it. I don't really want to do it, and I think understanding that people's opinions change throughout the times too. Like my opinion one day might not be something, and I wouldn't want that content on the internet forever. That's why I don't usually put my opinion out there, just because the fucking internet is vicious lately. You could say one thing, and then if you ever, God forbid, you ever make it big, a year later or 2 years later, they said, well, you said this, and then all of a sudden, the internet is at war at you, which for me, it's not really worth it. But I also know that you can't get big anymore just playing video games. Like
just playing them? No.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible, but it's got to be a real.
You got to be extremely talented, or you got to have a fucking personality.
That's anything in entertainment, right? I mean, if you don't have a personality, you're fucked. But I mean, I think we're probably not too far away from seeing a streamer that's able to sort of work with an AI chatbot, and then
it's happening already.
But in a way that people really like that interaction and they think it's funny. I mean, I think there's room, but you've got to, you gotta find your shtick. But I mean, first off, I do want to acknowledge, speaking of Lutron, thank you, buddy. Lutron in the chat has gifted 5 memberships. Speaking of memberships, I appreciate it, Lutron, very, very much. That is generous. Lutron's been a member forever. He's a good fella. He's a good dude. And I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you, sir. But yeah, what do you stream about? Like, what is your content about?
Mainly, I play a lot of fighting games. I'm just a variety gamer right now. I talk shit to the chat. We just same thing as you. We just fucking make fun of each other. Everyone calls me a fat idiot for eating too much fettuccine on stream.
Oh, fettuccine's the best. Olive Garden fettuccine.
Oh god, dude, pasta. I got to go easy on the pasta though. I think I got a gluten allergy too. My skin just fucking gets so bad when I eat a bowl of pasta, man. I got to go easy on that, especially with the kid now.
I don't care about that. But but yeah, I mean, hey man, look, if you enjoy it, do it, find your shtick. It is a business, right? It is something you have to find what you offer people. And I am still struggling with it. Tech Protect and I talk about it every single fucking day. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? Where do we push? Where do we pull? Even a show like this. I mean, Tech yesterday and I were talking, and he's just like Wayne says, show is really random today, right? It's like some people come here because they want game news, which is why I'm like Gabbing and Games. That's what the show is called. That's what you get every afternoon. This show right now called Jaffe Talks, some people, hang on, there's an alert. Amber alert. Oh my god. You're getting one too?
No, I don't. I'm on the East Coast, baby. We
Aria and Alana Maldonado are missing and believed to be in imminent danger. Kings County, 2020 gray Hyundai Elantra. Click on the link. So hey, if you're out there driving, listen to the show, and you see a 2020 gray Hyundai Elantra, let me know on the chat or call it. Well, don't let me know because you can be trolling me, but call the cops. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. It's just kind of like one of those things where you just got to figure out, what the people want and try to give it to them without fucking up your own integrity. But I hear you. I wish you luck. You're always welcome to call back in, share your views, and I'll help. Hey Joey, how do people find you if they like the cut of your jib, whatever the fuck that means?
Twitch.tv Joey_Fettuccini. And
Joey
yeah,
underscore Fettuccini.
Yeah,
give him a watch, you guys.
You guys are interested.
All right, Fettuccini.
All right.
I'll
Thanks for
talk
having
to
me,
you soon.
Jaffe.
I'm
Thanks
around
for the
anytime,
serious
buddy.
conversation.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, Fungool. I don't know what that means, but I'll meet you at the Olive Garden. How about that?
I'm
all
down.
right, see you, buddy.
It's been soup all day. Let's go.
Goddamn right. I don't know what Fungool is, but by the way, hey, we got ourselves a new member. Thank you very much. It is coming from the good sir MK Ness. Welcome to the Diet Soda Soldiers. You and Lutron deserve a love song. Here you go. Lutron was driving his Ferrari and he saw MK Ness and they made a baby. Saeed, it's Jaffe. Are you there?
Hey, Jeff.
Am I saying your name right? Saeed,
Yeah, you got it, bro.
Saeed, what's up, pup?
The second time I actually got right. Syed.
What's going on?
Hey, good to see you, man.
You as well.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
Yeah, I got a couple of questions actually. The first one would be regarding the Game Pass or the ultimate version of Game Pass.
Yes.
I believe that you're a big advocate of Game Pass, right? You
love
always say
Game
the good
Pass.
shit.
Love it, love it,
yeah.
love it.
I feel that hopefully it's a feel, not a hopefully they won't bring it as a real thing. Don't make it as a real thing, but I feel like they might bring some restrictions when it comes to Game Pass, probably this year or next year, especially when it comes to game time, or like how many hours you might be able to play in. For example, for a day or a week-ish, I think they might bring in some sort of like a trial version. Like if you have a Game Pass, not the ultimate version, just the Game Pass itself, the essential, I think. You're only allowed to play, like, for example, 10 to 15 hours a day. Or sorry, that's a lot, but yeah, maybe like 5 hours to 10 hours a day.
Why would they, I mean, they've already limited it and said, hey, we're going to give you a lesser version of Ultimate, but they've done it more in terms of what games are available and what games are available when. Why would they now add an additional restriction to it? It's not like cloud gaming where you have to, you have a bandwidth issue on their end, like what's happening at GeForce Now.
Well, I could see one of the reasons why they might do that. They might do this is to bring people to the ultimate. They might make some restrictions on the core or the first tier of Game Pass, so they might bring more to make the ultimate version more lucrative, and people might go for that one instead of the.
So you think they need to throttle it more than they already have, basically?
Did they throttle it? Do you think?
They did already. They've said we're going to have a base version. We're going to have Game Pass, the base version or Essential or whatever, and then we're going to move up just like PlayStation Plus did. So you're basically saying they need to add, or you think they're going to add more restrictions.
Correct.
I mean, I don't see that, but sure, okay. I don't see any reason they would do that. Do I see reasons that they would try to artificially create reasons to spend more money on the higher tiers? Yeah. But I don't see that they would be doing it as it relates to saying we're going to limit what we're already giving you in terms of game time. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But hey, you never know, man. I can't predict anything, let alone those guys.
Yeah, I mean they are very unpredictable when it comes to their services and all that shit.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
The other thing would be regarding the. I'm new to the gaming system, honestly, the gaming environment. So whenever I'm like basically browsing social media, Twitter, X, or Facebook, even, always comes up with people talks about the woke mindset or wokeism, and it doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, are they called any game that has like some certain elements of minority groups as a woke thing, or like what exactly is woke? Do you think in this time and age?
Well, I think it depends. It depends who you ask. I mean, woke itself is a term that's been, what's the word? Appropriated maybe by a lot of people without really any understanding of where it came from and what it means. But what a lot of people on the internet mean when they say it is they just basically mean that it's there's a sense of inclusion in the content that they feel is forced, basically, and not genuine. And what they don't tend to understand is that anything that is new or fresh or unique that they find uncomfortable fits that definition, which is not the definition of woke, right? So it is like Chris in the chat says, every game is woke. It stands for whatever you don't like. I mean, you know, some people, a lot of these guys are trolls, though. They're not entering the conversation in good faith. But the ones that are, I think, hey, we just lost the guy. I think the ones that are just kind of feel like they're, you know, losing. I don't fucking know. I mean, as a white presenting guy, I always say that guy. I'm a white guy. I certainly don't feel that. I'm like, oh, we're losing our culture. What culture? Who cares? I don't understand any of that shit. Just shut up and go have a good time. Hang on a second. Hey, Calvin. Hey, Tech, do me a favor. Keep an eye on the calls in the chat. I don't really know when, you know, the people are like, okay, this call is getting boring. No offense to the callers. I'm engaged in the conversation. So I'm assuming you'll let me know if it's like, all right, let's move this one. Let's wrap this one up. This kind of thing. But yeah, I you know, the woke stuff, I don't care. Persephone, you're not wrong. Persephone says that, art, games, sci-fi, fantasy, comics have always been woke. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, most people that create your entertainment are lefty progressive people. And so, you know, but hey, man, it's not going to stop you from creating your own or supporting people who create the entertainment that you feel represents what you want to see. It's so funny that all these people, I don't want to get into it, but you know, all these people bitch about, oh, representation doesn't matter. It's bullshit. And well, then if it doesn't matter, why are you so complaining about all the people who are being represented? If it doesn't matter, just enjoy the movie. But you know, I know you can't manage the calls, but yes, call out boring people for me. I don't know who is waiting in the call-in room. Oh yeah, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. Just like if somebody calls in and as nice as they are, if you're like, hey, let's wrap it. Just let me know that. That's all. How do you bet Game Pass will come? How much do you bet, says Charles Darwin, Game Pass will come to Nintendo this year? I don't think that's happening. I would love for it to happen as a fan of Game Pass. That would be excellent. But I don't see that. I don't see that occurring at all. Only because if it comes to Switch, right? So then, so if let's say Starfield comes to Switch too, and I'm Nintendo, and I can take 30% of a full price version of Starfield, or I can take 30% of, you know, $20 a month. I mean, I don't know if the math works out, but I mean, hey, here's what I can tell you. I would love it. I think it would be great. But I really don't know. Should I call Herman? Yeah, give me his number. I'll call Sony if you want. Okay, let's bring in Alex the Alex the something. Alex, what's your name?
I don't know what I wrote. Alex something.
Oh, this is Alex. What's up, Alex? How's the baby?
It's going well. Baby is doing a lot of kicking.
Good.
Is that normal?
No, I think you guys
Why?
are fucked.
Why?
Well, I think baby sounds like an asshole.
Because when I'm playing games, it kicks a lot.
Yeah, you're probably playing stupid games. Probably somebody who's like, you're fucking playing,
Hey.
woke bullshit.
I'm playing the new, what is it called? I forgot the name. The sword game.
Yeah, thanks for whittling it down, Alex.
Jaffe, did you really kiss that girl? The Asian girl?
Several times, but it must have been real mind-blowing for her because she only remembers once. But yeah. But I mean,
did you have your beard or no?
No.
At the time?
No.
Oh. Wow. She's young, no?
She's younger than I am, but she's not that young. No offense. Sorry, Gina. But that's, that's a long time ago. It's not a long time.
How come you never mentioned that? It was like she never said anything.
What am I having dinner with you? How come I never mentioned it? Because why would I mention it?
It's a big thing. I mean, is she a member?
Yeah.
Wow. So you kissed your own member. Wow. That's crazy.
Oh my God. Hey, if I could kiss my own member, I'd never leave the house. Oh, wait, I never do leave the house. Wait a minute. You're onto something. So what do you want to talk about? Seven Galaxies. PG says, Tech Protect, this is boring. Let's go. Yeah, come on, Alex. You're on the stage, baby.
I'm on the stage.
Entertain
I want to
these
talk
fuckers.
I want to know, let's say, if you had a kid who's interested in going into acting, making movies, So, what do you think about going into acting? They become millionaires, or there's no chance?
Well, okay. Jesus, Alex, you moron. Listen,
Tell me, please.
sure. I think if somebody wants to act and they are really into it, they should pursue it. But I don't think they should pursue it because they want to be a millionaire. There's a lot better ways to make ducats than being an actor. I think if you want to be an actor, do it and be comfortable with the fact that there's a relatively realistic chance the most you'll ever get out of it in a fame and fortune way is probably working at the community theater, doing Death of a Salesman or something, which is a great play. I'm not knocking the play, but I would suggest though that if you do it out of love for the craft, then I think it's great. And who knows where it'll take you.
But they start at younger age, right? They start as a kid. They go into acting.
Are you
They do
talking
those
about child actors working on actual sets?
exactly.
Oh well, yeah,
No,
that's
no, no. As a child, you start acting. You take courses, and when you grow up, you become a legend. That's how they become legends. No,
okay.
mostly not like let's say what's it called? Harry Potter. Those guys, they're all legends right now.
Let me ask you this: how far along is your wife with the baby?
28 months. Oh, no,
Okay.
28 weeks.
20,
Was
oh,
it
right,
28
20
months?
months. Yeah. 20 weeks. So were you allowed to be in the room when the guy was fucking her, making the baby? Or is that she just told you after the fact?
Uh, only me to know knows. Only me to know has
Only you.
access. He has
Right.
the data.
He's making a tape out of it. That's
No,
right.
but seriously, tell me about the acting, please. I just want to
What do you
know.
want to know? What are you asking me? Are you asking me, do I think that if I had a kid who came to me and said, Dad, I want to be an
Yeah.
actor, I'd say,
Would
sure, go for it. Why not?
okay. So you would support them all the way, right?
Well, I mean, they would still have to take care of themselves as adults do, like most actors do, but
Mm.
why would I not support them? Life is short.
Okay,
I
that's great to know.
mean,
And
but I mean, it doesn't mean I wouldn't lie to them and say, hey, your chances of being a legend, probably not, but anything's possible. But a lot of that is luck. A lot of that is luck of the draw, luck of the genetic gene pool. Even if you want to be a very successful character actor, those jobs are hard to come by. Although those jobs are the better jobs because then you're not as at risk of just sort of falling out of favor. You can be a character actor and start when you're 18 and work to the day you die at 90. But you're not going to be, the guy who opens a movie and shit like that. But yeah, if you want to act, go act. That's fun.
okay.
Enjoy that shit.
One last question, Jeffy.
Yeah.
Do you agree on this that a cam girl is not a prostitute, right?
It's not about agreeing. Legally speaking, it is not illegal, I mean, unless you get into some very specific things, but prostitution, at least in America, is defined by, physical interaction being traded for cash or services or whatever. Doing it over the internet is absolutely not defined in the legal definition. So it is not prostitution.
So if the government, let's say if you're paying taxes, you can write down in your tax paper, cam girl, right?
You can,
And
yeah.
it's not, and then it's not prostitution. The government is not going to say this is prostitution, or you can't be ashamed of it, right?
You can be ashamed all day long if you choose to be, but I'm just saying that legally speaking, according to the legal definition. Now, does that mean that if you want to have a smoother time with the IRS, instead of saying cam girl, you should say online entertainer or I run a YouTube channel or something? Probably that makes more sense just because it'll get your taxes done quicker. But my understanding is it's not an illegal activity. No.
Okay, perfect. That's all I wanted to know.
All right, buddy. Good to see
All
you.
right,
Good to
take
talk to you.
care.
I'll talk to you
Peace.
later. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to bring on Ember's Arcade next. Ember.
Hey, bud. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you great. Listen, I got to go tell my kids something, so you own the stream for the next minute.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Do not let him brainwash you into believing that there's a spirit in the sky, folks. I'll be back in a second.
Guys, I'm going to take this time to mention something that I think Jaffe was talking about earlier, that the word woke has been ground to a nub. I feel like we can still define that pretty easily, right? It's just hyper progressivism of a leftist coastal variety. Isn't that exactly what it is? It's just wanting to dissolve Western classical tradition. Am I not correct in that? I don't know. Maybe I'll brainwash you super easily. Tell me how the universe could be created from nothing, guys. Somebody out there, please explain that much to me. How many examples of nature springing forth from a void have you been able to observe in the history of reality? Ember, please tell us the reason the Lord is looking out for us. This is pretty. Look, I actually don't like to talk about this stuff live if I can avoid it, just because I know it makes people uncomfortable, and I also know that it alienates people that maybe otherwise we would have a lot in common. But you start talking about religion, you start talking about these things, it can become really difficult for people to connect with you, and I don't want to create that kind of environment. So I apologize for that. But
all right, what's going on? What are you guys talking about?
Okay, cool. We're back. Thank you. You saved me. So I wanted to talk to you about the efficacy of your channel and maybe the strategy that you're
Why
taking.
do you never put yourself on camera? What's the matter with you?
Okay, there's some deep lore here, actually.
I don't need it to be long. Just tell me the gist.
I used to do YouTube professionally, and I had some pretty intense stalking and credible threats that as a result
Why?
of
What did you do that made somebody want to stalk you?
I wrote essays that debunked white nationalist content creators.
Oh yeah, they're idiots.
Well, the thing is that they're not. I don't think that they're idiots. They're obviously very intelligent people that think really deeply about a certain thing. But I think that they're evil, and so I would talk about them, and I would discuss some of the reasons why I could approach it philosophically and demonstrate that they're evil and also ineffective. And so there was one day in particular that I got like 10,000 emails calling me all sorts of horrible things and telling me they're going to find me and kill me. And I also had some just creepy people that used to draw portraits of me and put them up in their dining rooms, which was really. So I just thought,
gotcha.
If I'm going to do YouTube again, I'm not going to have my face on stream.
All right. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, so the efficacy of your YouTube channel, because you were talking a little bit earlier about how you and Tech talk a little bit about why isn't this growing or what can we do? Obviously, you don't want to run out of runway, as you said. And I had some thoughts, a little bit of feedback.
I'd love to hear it. Let's go.
So I'm not a big YouTuber, but in the last month, I've added about 1,000 new subscribers to my channel. I've brought in 150,000 views. So I'm currently at about 4,500, 4,600 subscribers. Very quickly growing as a result of doing less frequent content, higher quality. So one of the things that I think is really great about what you do, that I think also might be the anchor that's weighing down the channel, is that you're so available so often, and there's just such a shotgun of content, and a lot of it isn't curated, right? It's just like, I'm going to be on stream, I'm going to talk, and that's awesome because of who you are relative to the history of the industry. It's like, it's cool that I can just have access to you like this. I think that's great, but I wonder if maybe that level of access and the amount of time that you spend live isn't maybe hurting the channel by taking this volume approach rather than a quality approach that's maybe less frequent but consistent, and then of a higher quality. I wonder if that might help you to reach more people rather than this. It seems like the algorithm doesn't favor this particular strategy on YouTube, but that's sort of that's the thought that I had, and I wasn't sure.
Right. Yeah, interesting. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I definitely would agree with you that there is a place on YouTube for very high quality think pieces and things like that. I personally don't have any real interest in doing them that often. And so for me, I'm probably older than you. I'm almost certain I am, but I grew up with radio as in the background.
Yeah, I'm 31. So
yeah. So I like the constant companionship that live streaming brings people. And so, but I agree with you. The more you do it, the less curated that the actual live content can be. I mean, the idea of planning out a show like a fucking late night show and having it all scripted, not scripted, but having all the segments in the beats and all that, I'm sure that would be cool in some ways. But I also think that having more of a I was going to say more of a regular relationship with the audience as sort of a background to their day, brings me a great deal of joy, and I would hate to lose that. But I don't think you're wrong about it being a pretty good pattern or strategy. I think you're probably right in a lot of ways.
And I'm sure that you're aware of this. It seems that YouTube favors channels that are strictly a one format versus multiple formats. And I know you have like short videos that are sub 10 minutes. You have sometimes longer videos that I've seen you upload over an hour. And then you obviously have your streams several times a day at different lengths. And that, I think that might create a little bit of chaos in YouTube trying to figure out what your channel is and who it's for. And I'm not encouraging you to like, have multiple channels where you have these different formats that are running, and that's a logistical nightmare, and it's a lot of work that you'd be creating for yourself. And obviously, you need to pursue what it is that gives you joy and trust your instincts.
Sure.
So that's priority number one. But something to think about is that I've seen a lot of success personally on my own channel of having this infrequent, high quality kind of content that seems to be what people are looking for. Obviously, that's what speaks to me, and that's what brings me joy. So we're different people, but just something to think about. I think I wanted to offer that feedback.
All right, well, I do appreciate it. Tech Protect wants on. He's got something to say. Tech Protect, you're on with Embers Arcade. What's going on?
Oh shit. Hey Embers, how you doing?
Hey Tech, it's good to speak to you.
Good to speak to you. My camera looks awful, so I'm gonna
Wait,
close
did you want me to bring you on, Tech?
Yeah, I know, that's fine. I did have some questions about this YouTube stuff, because again, like one of my priorities here is to help Jaffe like grow his channel. And you're saying that your content is much more polished, right? And you're pushing out some content that is, not frequent, but it is high quality, and that's giving you some good results. I do see that as a positive for some YouTube channels, but I don't think that fits really with Jaffe's like motif.
I agree. I totally agree.
Because your content, I've watched a couple of your videos now, and they're focused on like a niche subject like Final Fantasy, right? And sometimes it goes in depth about a certain issue or a lore thing or something. But I feel like Jaffe himself, like his robust character, is kind of like the product of the channel. And I think some people in the chat would agree.
Well, I would totally agree. Yeah, like his personality is the value add for sure, and the fact that he's I mean, I don't mean to gas you up, Jaffe, but you're obviously a very famous figure in the gaming industry and in the history of it. So it's interesting to have access to this. It's like calling into some other grand creator, some artist or something in another industry, and like, oh my god, I can just talk to you. That's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, so with that in mind, with who Jaffe is, I think maybe a change that you would agree with would be regularly scheduled live streams, right, for set amount of times. Right, because if you knew that Jaffe was live at like 10:30 PST, until like noon or maybe like 12:30, right? So, I can schedule having this call and like listening to Jaffe while I'm like doing this at work, or I'm gonna be out today, so I'll watch the post video when it's live or once it's like on YouTube. Does that feel like a direction you'd agree with?
Well, yeah, and it's something that I think YouTube has regularly rewarded channels for doing. That consistency and that scheduling is I mean, not just for live streams, but even for uploads, is when people can count on the cadence of your content. That's like a huge plus. And that's something, Jaffe, I've listened to you speak with Colin about this. Colin understands this principle that the only two things that you can control are quality and consistency, right? When you're doing content creation. And so having a pretty strict set of parameters for when you go out and what that content looks like, those are the two things that you can control that will usually produce results. So yeah, absolutely. You're right.
It's like I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat saying, yeah, let's schedule it. Yeah, consistency would be good.
Well, I'm here in the mornings and I'm here in the afternoon. How much more consistent do you need?
It'd be like a time, like let's start the stream
with your watches.
Let's start the stream, every morning at 10 or at 10:30, and let's start the afternoon stream at 6:30.
The difficulty could be that, like, Jaffe, I feel like you're, and I don't mean this as a slight, you're kind of like a chaotic person. You're kind of playing to the beat of your own drum, so to speak. So having a schedule could be enough of a joy sapper from the activity that it makes you not want to do it anymore. So it's finding that balance. It's like what sparks joy.
Well, but I think the hard part is just knowing, it takes a long time. Toby Moss says I need to set my TiVo. Yeah, look. It takes a long time to put a show together that's not like this one. This one is I hit a button and I go live, right? And so there's no real plan. I have some stuff pulled up if the conversation gets dry and boring and we start losing people. But fundamentally, a show like Gabbin' and Games, for example, yesterday's show was a 4-hour show, but it wasn't until like, I don't know, 2:00 before we could go live because we didn't have all the news pulled together. Doesn't mean that's doesn't mean that's wrong. That may be fine. I'm just saying that that's hard to schedule sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just it's one of the things to keep in mind from what I understand, and I do social media work as a career, so I'm having to deal with back end stuff and understanding these algorithms, which are dynamic and always changing, like by the quarter. So it's not a science, but one of the things that you'll do if you have several live streams throughout the day, or at least 2 live streams that you do throughout the day that are at different times and different lengths, what you'll have happen is that people will interact with that content, especially on the back end once they're like re-uploaded or accessible after the fact. People will interact with it differently because it's happening at different times of day and the lengths are different. So you have different average watch time, different click-through rate. And when you have those numbers on the back end of your channel and the analytics that are so unpredictable, YouTube will tend to not recommend you as often because there's not a consistent base. So even if your average watch time is fairly low, if it's consistent, YouTube will prefer that. And so having these like sporadic streams of different lengths can, I think, work against you, even though it's, again, it's your instinct. If it brings you joy, then, obviously by all means continue doing it. But that's something to think about. It's just that the reality of how YouTube interprets how channels are performing on the back end.
Well, hey, take notes. We'll talk about it after the stream.
I'm going to call Amber after this.
Yeah, excellent. And, don't hold it against him. He believes in God. Okay.
Just for the listeners, I was raised Roman Catholic. And I think
Woo!
we're on the same page.
Hey,
whoa,
there you go.
Okay. Do you believe in Jesus Christ? He's actually out there watching over you, Tech?
My dad's middle name is Jesus. So
okay,
we serve a living God, Jaffe.
Hang on.
Oh no, not me. I'm no longer practicing. But
right.
I serve a living God.
I serve David Jaffe. Unfortunately,
you goddamn right. You goddamn right.
Well, I'll get out of here, Jaffe. I wanted to talk a little bit. That was just a lot longer than I thought.
I appreciate it, Ember, and yeah, if you take Tech's call, I would appreciate that too.
Yeah, sure thing. You have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too, sir. All right, well, there you go, Tech. We got some help right there. Yeah. Lutron says, "Did Mornings with Jaffe die? What do you think this is? What is this? Not Mornings with Jaffe? I'm here. It's the morning in San Diego anyway. I don't understand.
So you and Gina, is that not?
Oh, no, God, I don't want to start. No, my God.
She has a boyfriend now, right? Or a fiance?
I don't even know. I don't care. I don't look at her that way anymore. I look at her like a little sister now. She, when I first met her, yes, I've talked about it on the stream before, and then it never went anywhere. She clearly wasn't really interested beyond maybe 1 or 2 times, most of which those several times she doesn't remember except one. And so it's like a dead thing. And now people are bringing it back up. That's got to be real comfortable for her coming on the show.
Okay. Just in my generation, little sister is like the biggest category on Pornhub. So
Okay. Well, not. Hang on 1 second. I want to get some of these chats real quick. Okay, Pompish. Driving his truck, delivering murder weapons, but I appreciate it, Pompish. He's become a member of the Diet Soda Soldiers. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Very, very kind. Always nice to talk to you, buddy. One Pump Man drops super chat. He says, Jaffe, look, I have an idea for a game. I can teach myself to build the bones and mechanics, but I don't know about 3D modeling or art direction. Suggestions? Yeah. Real easy.
He asked yesterday.
Yeah, easy. Just get all your here's what I would say. Seriously, get all of your shit. Gabrielle says I'm going to object at Gina's wedding. Get all of your shit together with off the shelf assets from the asset store or the Unreal store. And if it's a really fun game, I'm sure artists will come out of the woodwork to work with you to provide you actual original rigged models and whatnot. But if you can make the game and it's got potential and it's fun, get all your stuff for now, even as like a kit bash or a asset flip, as the kids call it. And if it's fun, the world will be your oyster in terms of people who will show up and actually help you create that stuff. If you have the need for original stuff that you want to grab is what I would say. Yeah. It's like Christoph says, just build a really good prototype. It's always the way to go. Yeah. Something fun to play will bring, everybody to your doorstep is what I would say. And thank you for the super chat. I've heard the God of War Egypt news, the leak is like, okay, fine. I mean, I I'm God of War has to win me over again. Let's just put it that way. I'm not currently like going, oh, this thing's going to be awesome. Just because I'm, I love 2018. The last one didn't really do much for me. But I'll always be there and give it a try. So, anyway, yeah. So there you go on that. But thank you guys. Jenna Hayes, imagine if they hire back Jaffe for God of War. I don't think they would. I really don't. I'm not, opposed to doing some work and stuff in that world at times, but I don't, the people who are left there, I don't think are looking to bring me on. A lot of my cohorts are no longer at that studio. So, but hey, you never know. Weirder things have happened, and I do wish them luck, and I'll be there day one. And by the way, I will tell you, I loved God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. So that I thought was great, especially, the writing was good. I thought that one did a really good job, Jenna Hayes, of doing a kind of, it had humanity and pathos and stuff, but it still got out of its own way and let itself be fun. And I think that is something that kind of got lost recently. Do I like Ninja Gaiden more than the latest God of War? You mean the new Ninja Gaiden that they just re-released? I think yes. I think that thing is the shit. I fucking love it. Yes, I like it better than the new God of War. Yes. Am I still friends with Corey? I mean, Corey and I were always colleagues. We were never friends. Not to say that we wouldn't be, but we just never ran in the same circles. But I still consider myself friendly with Corey. I like Corey. I think he's a very talented, nice human, but I don't, it's not like him and I ever just kind of went out to lunch and hung out and were pals or anything, but I consider myself a fan of him, and he's a good dude. I agree, says Armatan about Valhalla. Roguelike elements fix much of my problem with the loop. The story was better than the core game. I agree, 100%. Absolutely. Okay. Let's talk about, all right, Tech, I'm going to let you go unless you got something else.
Nope, sounds good. I will be in the background.
All right, thanks, buddy. All right, there we go. Let me bring on Wade. Wade Watts, how you doing, buddy? Wade, where are you? Where's your Wade? Wade, you're on the show if you want to talk. If not, not a problem, pal. Just sit tight. I'm going to bring you guys some new topics that we're going to jump into. But Wade, if you want to talk, you're on, bud. Look at, hang on. Hey, has donated some ducats. I appreciate it, buddy. Here's what he says. He says, how can I create a studio or start a game with little to no funding and almost no dev experience? Okay. Well, thank you for the super chat, Maxwell. Here's what I'll tell you. What you do is this. Seriously. You get ideally, if you have a computer, you get a computer and you download Unity or you download Unreal, or if you want to maybe not get that deep into the weeds with 3D, Game Maker. If you've never made a game, I would start with Game Maker. Game Maker is a 2D program. It's absolutely, pretty fucking easy to use. And it even though it's not like building a game in Unity necessarily, the principles remain the same, the sort of logic of what it takes to build a game. And so number one is figure out if you like the process. Make something, give yourself a month, 3 months, whatever, and go, I'm going to sit down and make a game, simple game. And see if you like it. Now, I will say, somebody in the chat says, get good at using AI, says MK Ness. What I'll say on that is not yet, but we're getting there. You still have to be aware. Like, I built a little game that kind of sort of ran using just ChatGPT, and it worked, but you get to a point that if you don't have some basic understanding of how games are put together, it's not as simple yet as just typing in, hey, I want to make a Donkey Kong game, but I want it to be in over-the-shoulder 3D, and I want, instead of it to be Donkey Kong, we're not there, but we will be there, and it's not going to be terribly long before we are there. And we are kind of there with certain things, but it's getting there. But I would say if you really want to make a go of it, enjoy AI, fuck around with it, but learn basically how to put a game together. and then ask yourself, do you enjoy it? Because a lot of times what people struggle with is there's nothing wrong with being a fan. I used to think I wanted to make movies. I loved movies growing up, and I thought I wanted to be a movie director. But when the rubber meets the road and you actually are talking to actors and you're trying to really get into answering their questions about how the performance needs to be, or blocking your camera motion to figure out, are you using the right visual language to communicate the tone of the scene that is matching with the story and the performances, that bored the shit out of me. Right. And so it may just be that, you really need to get in there and make a couple of games and then ask yourself, are you digging it? Let me get this call. I'll be right back. I'm not going anywhere. Hang on. So yeah, that's what I would say. Have you ever met John Romero? Yeah, I've met him a few times. Had dinner with him and his wife Brenda. They're wonderful people. He's been on the show before. He's a good fella. He's a good fella. Okay. AI can't code. It's a lamer. It can code. I mean, it can write you code. I mean, Yeah, Rob the Mod says, I feel like people will romanticize game dev also. So true. I mean, but that's anything, right? There are a few things easier these days than not making a game, but trying to make a game. There's a million engines. Even if it's very simple, even if it's just, hey, I want to learn Dreams on PS4, which will still run on PS5, I think, or I want to learn RPG Maker, right? You can express yourself interactively now easier than ever. So, but yeah, it depends what you want to do. If you want to get into full-on software development, at a Sony, then yeah, you need to really get serious about learning programming and shit. So, okay. But that would be, I appreciate the question. Thank you. Okay. So let's see. I wanted to bring up, I'm trying to find my screen. I apologize. My dog's losing his fucking mind right now because he's out of his fucking mind. I'm curious about the FPS Romero is making in Unreal. I don't know how to code, says Maxwell. I don't have any experience in game dev, but I want to start on something. Okay. Then download. Do you have a computer? Do you have a PC? Oh my God. Hang on. Let me see what my dog wants. I'll be right back. Do you have a computer? Anthony, I'm going to let you run the show for a second while I go see what the fuck Ace is on about. Anthony, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Take over for 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay. What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? I can kind of see the chat because I'm in Streamlabs, but not very well. So how's everybody been doing? Mount a revolt. What should I revolt about? I think that's a good question. Because I'll mount a fucking revolt. You can ask Jaffe. I'll revolt. Unreal is complicated, but if you go back, I was talking about this yesterday or the day before. If you go back and you pick up a copy of the original Unreal Tournament disc, it has the original Unreal Tournament engine on there with tutorials, and you can learn how to use it and then go forward with that. I think by the time they had Unreal 3 out, I think they were using Engine 2, and I could still use that pretty proficiently, but I fell off soon after that. So that would be a good way to do it. I think the most difficult part about getting into the gaming industry is something that's not talked about very often. It's just the business side that you need to deal with, because people just don't understand what goes on at that level. And when you're dealing with high amounts of money, and I understand this because I did this with music, when you're dealing with a couple $100 million, people want a return on their investment, damn it. And that's exactly what they want. They don't care how good your product is, they care how well your product will sell. So you have to draw a line, I would think, between what you want to do as far as game design and what the world wants you to do as far as game design. I don't know what you would feel about that, Jaffe.
I mean, yeah, it depends on where you're at. I mean, if you're just if this guy is just curious, if One Pump Man is just like thinking about, or Maxwell is just thinking about making a game, I think that's true, but that's in the weeds. That's like telling somebody who's like, "Hey, I think I might want to learn to play guitar," and you start spilling all this stuff about, well, here's how you need to deal with lawyers in the music business, and it's like, well, wait a minute. He may, he may play
But
it for, for a week and go, I don't like this. So what I would say right now is just make something. And then, yeah, there's plenty of time to understand, well, okay, now you got to take into account the market if you really want to make a career of it or you want to sell something, but that's not where he's at. So I wouldn't worry about it, honestly.
no, if you just want to make a game, just learn an engine and make a game,
Yeah. So
and
Anthony,
let
what
it
did you
live or
want to talk
die.
about? What do you want to talk about? What's going on, bud?
Oh, nothing, man. I didn't really want to talk about much of anything. I just wanted to bullshit with you for a little while.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if it's entertaining, I'll keep you on. I always got to be looking at the numbers, baby.
No, I know, I know. I was working for a little bit today, not doing music work, doing normal person work,
Okay.
which is a stretch for me.
Okay.
I go to therapy about this actually.
What?
Because
What? 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 What do you go to therapy about? I don't understand.
coming out of the entertainment industry and not currently being actively involved in it, but needing a source of income anyways, means I need a job, you know.
Okay, but what do
And
you talk to your therapist about it? Like, I'm a
I
little
talked to my
confused.
therapist about he always says it's like it's just like a change of seasons. Like this is a new season for me. Now I have to learn this. But I've been doing music so long for my entire life that I haven't worked for some. I mean, I guess you could technically say I worked for Prince, but it never felt that way.
Right.
But I I I haven't had a boss in 30 some odd years.
Right.
So the idea of taking time off because my dad got sick a couple 2.5 years ago and I took care of him. So I took time off and just did that full time. And now I'm put back in a position where I'm 48. Prince is gone. I get touring offers. But I really don't want to be gone all the time anymore. And that's what I liked about Prince is he did we would do one-off dates. We would go to like Baltimore and do a show and then come home.
Right, but it wasn't like a year-long tour all over the world or something.
Right, right. No, he had a new power generation that he did that with. Prince had 4 functioning bands when he died. And one of them, which I've been meaning to link to you, and I will, is called Third Eye Girl, which was Prince with 3 girls and doing like rock stuff.
Did he rip off Corey Feldman, Corey and the Angels for that? That's where he got the idea?
He absolutely did not rip off Corey Feldman.
Okay, fair enough. I stand. I beg to differ, but anyway.
I've met Corey Feldman on a couple of occasions, and I cannot say that I liked him on either one.
I can't fathom. I mean, I feel for the guy. The guy clearly had a rough childhood. He had a bunch of shit happen to him in Hollywood, and so I don't know. I don't know anybody who could sort of really sail those waters and come through and not be troubled. But he does seem like a very unpleasant, unself-aware human. Not because he's up there singing horribly, but because it's a representation, I think, of someone like Corey Feldman is so fun to hate watch because you just go, my God, thank God, at least I'm not that unself-aware, unless he's just kind of going, I know it's a joke. It's performance art, but I don't think so.
Well, he did this thing where we were doing a con. You know how cons are.
Yeah.
And we were doing a con and we were signing stuff and they put all the guests in the same area as they put the people who were just coming to the show. They didn't gate us off or anything
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
So they because the entire hotel had same rooms, so it didn't matter where you were, and you couldn't get a suite or anything like that. And Corey Feldman, I remember walking up to him because he was next door to me, and he was standing outside of his room smoking a joint, and he's like, "I can't believe they have us around all these fucking people." And I'm like,
Hmm.
"Dude, they're your fans. Like, what are you talking about?"
Well, I mean, has he had bad experiences or something? Like
Well,
where
we all have, you
Yeah, but
know.
you're not famous though. He's like, you can walk down the street, no one's going to look at you unless they're a hardcore Prince fan and go, "Hey, that's Anthony. He played with Prince." But Corey Feldman, if he goes to the grocery store, he's going to be recognized at least 10 times. I mean,
Well, I
he
think the
was a
whole
star of big fucking movies and shit. I'm not saying that means he's not an asshole for saying that, but I would imagine that your relationship and my relationship with going outside is probably very different than Corey Feldman's, even to this day.
not when I was with Prince, it wasn't.
Well, yeah, but it was because of Prince, not because of you.
Well, it was a little bit because of me, Jaffe.
Oh, come on,
Let's not give all of it to Prince.
dude. Anthony, listen. When you
Dude, I
walk,
wrote for him. I signed over my copyrights to him.
wait a minute. I'm not suggesting you are not a part of Prince's in a reason for Prince's success. I'm not diminishing that at all. I would never suggest anything like that. I'm talking about just the fame aspect of it, right? The average person who goes out in the streets, a lot of people, because of how big Corey Feldman was in the 80s, know who he is, but no one knows who you or I am. They might know our work, but that's just, I mean, you're not denying that, are you? Unless you're like a hardcore Prince groupie, sure.
No, but I mean, I live in Minneapolis, so people here do know me. But
Okay, all right, fair.
but out and in LA, I get that too. But if I was to go to Idaho, nobody would know who the fuck I was.
All right, fair enough. Like the only guitar player I know, but that's because I'm a hardcore Phil Collins fan, is Phil Collins' bass player, that Leland Sklar guy. Also, because he's got that massive fucking beard that puts ZZ Top to shame. I know that guy. But but anyway, the point being though, you didn't like Corey Feldman. He didn't come off as a genuine nice human. What did he say when you said, "Dude, these are your fans"?
He said, "Fuck them."
Wow, now that's a dick.
Yeah, I know that's what he was, and he wasn't even all that stoned to be saying. It's not like he was all kinds of fucked up and just saying this stuff. Like he was talking. We were just standing there talking because we had talked earlier at the booze, and I don't know what Corey Feldman's deal is. When Michael Jackson died, I did something interesting that I've never met another person that's done. I wanted to know how to feel about it. So I went through and I read the transcripts of both of his child molestation court cases. I
Okay.
read the full court transcripts. And I came away from that thinking, this is bullshit. He didn't do any of this.
Okay. I think a
And
lot of people have arrived at that conclusion, but it's no one, we're never going to probably know. So
no, but so many people have come out since that I don't know. But so I don't know what Corey's experience with all that was and what that did to him. I know that
he's never accused Michael Jackson of abusing him. He's
no,
talking about, yeah.
I just saw him 3 months ago doing a show with his band, and he still dances like Michael Jackson and sings like Michael Jackson.
If
And
you hang out with Corey Feldman in real world and you don't have the YouTube clip of him dancing in Dream a Little Dream, thinking he's Michael Jackson,
oh my God, that's awesome.
To always pull up and just go, "Dude, shut the fuck up," because I have this. Nothing you can ever say will allow you to live down Dream a Little Dream.
Dream a Little Dream is an awesome movie.
It is, but when he tries to be Michael Jackson dancing in the gym to Patton Oswalt's current wife, whatever her name is, I'm sorry, but
yeah,
that's where the word cringe originated from. It's staggeringly cringe.
But I think that's at a time when he was like spending all of his time with Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson was like training him to be like an entertainment industry person. And
oh God. Okay, well
but
that
you couldn't but you can't really you could never really duplicate Michael Jackson because
no.
um I've listened to through being a musician, I've gotten to hear very raw Michael Jackson vocals. And they would mic the floor
Yeah,
in the studio because he would dance while he sang while he was recording.
yeah.
Sheila was very hot back in the day.
Yeah,
She
Johnny
still
Utah,
is.
thank you for the super chat. He says, Anthony, just how hot was Sheila E. back in the day? And he says that's his answer.
She's very hot. She's an excellent drummer.
Excellent. Okay.
Um
So
but
they mic thank you, Johnny. And they mic'd the floor because he would dance when he sang.
yep, and he would incorporate it into the rhythm of his songs. Not he wouldn't necessarily just be dancing for the hell of it. He would dance
Okay.
along to his songs so that when the floor was
Right.
mic'd, you
So
would
you're
hear
saying
it.
though that Corey Feldman could never that's a magic talent that comes with the DNA of Michael Jackson. That's not something you can train Corey Feldman to do, which I think,
Right,
yeah,
right.
of
Though
course.
he did try, and I actually think Michael Jackson did a really good job with him, and as far as the dancing and everything goes. But
Yeah, he's
um,
not he look, I got no issues with his 80s movies. I thought Lost Boys was great. Goonies has its place in history. I like License to Drive, but
yeah,
end of the day though, if you're going to sit around and watch Corey and the Angels and you're going to not watch it ironically, you got rocks in your fucking head, but that's okay.
is there
I
a
mean,
show called Corey and the Angels?
that's his band.
Oh, I
It's a
didn't
bunch
even
of
know what his
women.
band was called.
It's
It was
like
just Corey Feldman.
no,
To
he
me.
tries to get women in like Victoria's Secret model women in with wings and shit, and he calls it Corey and the Angels, and he's just
I
terrible.
wish him luck. Are these 60-year-old women?
No, they're late 20s, I guess. I don't fucking know. I just watch when somebody ever puts a clip on Instagram. The best one though, man, is when Howard Stern was making fun of him when he sang that song "What's Up with the Youth." In the
I know the
early
song. I know the
oh
song.
man, oh man, it's like, come on, Corey, what are you doing? I mean, whenever you feel bad, it's terrible to say, and I'm sure he's a nice man, but whenever you feel bad about yourself, just put on some Corey Feldman, and you'll feel your place in the universe will not feel as pathetic as it did before you watch Corey Feldman try to entertain you with his musical styling. So
No, he's trying really hard to stay relevant. Like more so than most people I know. He's trying really fucking hard.
I mean, I get it, but that's not, I mean, and that's fine. Hey man, seriously, there are people who defend him and say, hey, he's doing what he loves. What do you care? And I do respect that. If Corey Feldman's out there going, look, guys, I understand. My biggest gigs at best will be state fairgrounds, right? And that's not a small thing anymore. But in other words, I'm never going to be who you think I want to be. But I'm having a good time, man. That I respect heavily. But
I don't think he is having a good time though. I think he wants like a large audience.
yeah,
I don't
then
think
I
he's
just kind
happy
of
with I don't
go.
think he's happy with playing the local state fair and
Well, then
everything. I think he wants a large audience.
then I look at him and I say, buddy, get some good therapy. Rob the Mod says every morning he wakes up and plays Corey Feldman. What's up with the youth? Now, Millennium, he did a song called Millennium, which he got Sean Astin and I think another one of the Goonies in. So I watched the video, and that was kind of. There is something about music that just because it sticks in your head doesn't mean it's good.
Right.
Millennium was one of those songs where I couldn't get out of my fucking head, but it wasn't like a compliment. It was like, I can't not hear this anymore. But anyway, all right, Anthony, thank you for calling, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Jaffe, later.
All right, see you, dude. There he goes, fellas, off into the evening. Listen, we got Maxwell in the chat talking about making video games. I just want to make something clear to you because I'm gonna be the dad you need in this case because he's talking about, oh, I don't have any talent. No, you're not going to do that, Maxwell. He says, I just have to put everything together on a PowerPoint maybe and get it together, and I'll show Jaffe to show him what he thinks. I don't care I don't care. This is the problem. Make a game. Release the game on the internet. I'll play it. I'll tell you what I think. I don't, and it's not that I don't think ideas are valuable. People are wrong when they say ideas are cheap. I mean, ideas are cheap, but good commercial ideas are not cheap. They're very valuable. But I guarantee you, I'm not the person to pitch one to. And if you really do want to do the work, then do the fucking work. And my guess would be you might not really want to do the work because Rob the Mod does the work. Swapfire does the work. And listen, man, there is nothing in the world wrong with going, I don't really want to do the work. Because what that does is it frees you up to recognize the work that you might actually want to do. But just saying, oh, I've got this idea and I'm going to put it in a power. No. And because I saw earlier, it's like it's a mix of Starfire and Titanfall and this. I don't give a fuck. Sit down and make a fucking 2D Pac-Man ripoff in 2 weeks and see if you like it. And if you like the process of doing it, do it some more. That's all it is. There's nothing magical about it. There's nothing romantic about it. It's just sit your ass down in front of the computer and do the work. Everything else is just talking. It's just talking. Here's Swapfire, makes his own video games. One of our sponsors of the show. He's got a video game right now on Steam called Swapfire. His name's actually Swapfire, so it's good that the game and his name is the same. Otherwise, it would be awkward. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, Jaffe? I'm
good.
glad to be here.
Good to have
enjoying
you.
lunch with you and listen to the chat. Some really interesting stuff today.
Cool.
I was trying to help Maxwell out there a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the skills and you don't want to go through the pain of acquiring those skills, it's like, well, where do you start? There's a lot of people, a lot of folks like that. You think that it's just, hey, get in and get those skills. I mean, you just said it. You said, just get in, get the skills. To sit down at the computer, do the work, use ChatGPT, whatever it is now. A lot of people have a hard time getting over that hump.
Well, because they're not really meant to be doing that, right? It's hard. Yeah. I got really lucky because, I came in at a very weird time in games. Before I got into games, it was pretty much just a programmer and an artist. I got into a time where you could be a high-level game designer and actually do pretty well. And then, you started seeing a lot more specialization in the design community. This guy's a great level designer. This guy's a great systems designer. This guy's a programmer / designer. And they sort of work with the actual AI programmer to get the stuff scripted and implemented into the game itself. The combat designer, whatever. It's a lot at that level. It's a lot bigger and more specialized. And I think, I wouldn't do it now. Like I would do it now with my experience based on if I could have a specific situation. But the idea of just like, okay, I did video games and I did streaming. Now I go back to video games and I'm sitting there building levels for the next Assassin's Creed as a designer. It's not fun for me.
Yeah,
that's not what I love to do. That's not what I'm good at. And that's not what I thrive on. So I think this guy in the chat, Maxwell, I think, it's just like, dude, you will know within a week if this is something that you want to spend more time with. I mean, your brain either is going to take to it or it's not.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was addictive for me. I mean, when I started, it was with a calculator, and I sent you that letter when I was in high school. And I sent me
a letter. Did I ever respond?
No, because it got to Laura Deson at Sony, which you probably didn't know who she was, some PR person. No. I sent you a calculator with some games on it, actually. And
oh my God, no, yeah. I would have remembered that. No.
They mailed it back. They were like, hey, go get a degree in engineering, computer science, and then come back to us. And, I ran into some other folks along the journey and decided to do the indie game thing. So do you know Jeff Tennell?
Yeah, well, I don't know him personally. I may have talked to him once. He was one of the Midway arcade guys, right?
He did like Tribes and what was the company? Dynamics.
Yeah.
And then
I could have sworn though. Keep going though. Keep going.
So Garage Games published my first game. They were the ones who, I think the idea of indie games started in like 1999 with coining the term and creating the Independent Games Festival and all that. So I guess they attended that, and then the next year, right after that, they started a company specifically to do indie games. And so Aerial Antics, which is also available on Steam right next to Swapfire, that was the first game that I ever got published. And
okay.
So I sort of, obviously, like a lot of people, saw these interviews as a kid and game magazines and all that, and tried to, put the pieces together and figure out where to go. And, your video was probably the first one where I ever saw a video of a developer talking about making games. And what really caught me about your interview was the fact that you said you would do the job for free just as long as your bills were paid. So to me, that said you had a very fulfilling life. And, money, you didn't really care about the money. It wasn't about making lots of money. It was just like, this is so amazing and fulfilling. I just want to be taken care of and design games, and I'm happy. And that resonated a lot with me at that age. I was like, yes, that's
I don't feel that way now about that work, but I absolutely did then. There was a yearning I had to express myself through the interactive medium. I really wanted to get that up and out of me.
Yeah.
Now I think I certainly wouldn't do it for free. I would do this for free.
Right.
Because I enjoy it more. But yeah, I mean, and to this guy in the chat, this Maxwell guy, that's stop talking and start doing. Otherwise it's just, you're wasting your precious time on the planet, is what I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So your definition of success would probably still be the same then, whether you're streaming, whether you're making games, you want to be doing something you want to be doing, kind of getting paid to do it, or it's something you love, it's something some other people love, and you can be paid to do it. That's pretty much right.
Yeah. I think, success is the definition of that, is going to vary based on a number of things, but I would absolutely say that my definition would be doing something that brings you joy, and that you can also make a living at the level that you would like to make a living at. It's probably the best place.
Yeah. That's important. It's tough with games these days too, because the market is just so saturated. When I look at Steam, actually putting Swapfire on Steam, something a lot of people try to convince me to do, and I was like, I don't think it's going to work.
That's loud. Hang on.
Oh, sorry.
That you. That was me. I opened Steam when you said that because I wanted to just look at this, have a reference, but it was like, it doesn't matter. Keep going.
Yeah, no, but a lot of people try to convince me to do that after we were on the Wii U. People said, "Hey, go put the game on Steam. Why don't you just do that? That's the next logical step." And I was like, I don't think that's the next logical step because the market is so saturated. There's a little bit of an echo going on. I don't know if that's
it's my bad. Let me fix it. Hang on.
8 years ago, Swapfire twisted.
Good old Dustin Wilcox.
All right.
Thank you, Dustin. If you ever see this video.
All right, I'll fix it later. I'll take it off the screen for now. Okay, keep going. So you put it on Steam.
Well, yeah. So I just put it on Steam, but that's after spending the last, say, 5-6 years building my own game platform, which I think I shared that with you. I haven't shared it. I'm not sharing it publicly very much, just because I've been through. I made a few successful mobile games, got a little bit of freedom, and then I did some startup-y type stuff. I was part of a Bitcoin company that at one point raised $65 million, and it crashed and burned. Though it didn't make it. The company didn't have any like real strong founding principle to stick by. That's my assessment of it. And so a lot of people got into it and all that, and it didn't work out. And I did some other stuff around the community, created a game festival, and I created like a traffic monitoring and reporting. So did a whole bunch of stuff after making a few successful mobile games.
Okay.
And then I was like, no, I've got to come back to games. Games mean something to me. And so then I created this platform, and I got to apply to long-term consulting type deal. The founder of that company that I was working for sold it, and the company that bought it didn't want to have any consultants. And so I lost the long-term consulting gig that I had with them. So I ended up in a full-time job. And when I was in that full-time job, I was, doing the job, but it was a little boring, the role that I had. And so I would put you on in the background while I was, writing code or doing whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, that's, I was like, well, here's this, maybe I will put Swapfire onto Steam. And, I feel like I was watching your show, and I could see that you needed sponsors for the show. And I was like, I don't know if you would even put the game on the show, but
yeah, no, It's been great. And in fact, Tech and I were talking. It's like, there's a lot of indie devs out there. I saw a guy. Let me tell you a story real quick. I don't want to remember your point, please, because I want you to get back to it. But I saw this guy tweet the other day. He's making a game called Wheelchair Racer or something like that. And he was going, I don't, any indie devs have any advice on this because I can't get wish list. Right. And so I was talking to Tech Protect and I said, we should maybe, we're not a massive channel, but we're, every video or every every stream. And then if you throw in the videos that get cut up from the streams, you'll get anywhere from 1 to 10,000 eyeballs on it. Right. And so that's not nothing if you're a small developer trying to get people to be aware of your game. And we started thinking maybe we should kind of open that up to other indie devs, but I don't know how effective it has been advertising SwapFire. I mean, has anybody, there's no real metrics, right? How do you know if they came from my show?
I don't have any attribution to say that they came from your stream. The Steam launch, it was pretty successful. I feel like what my read on it is I got all the blessings in the world in doing that, right? So, I mean, got on with you. I had that viral video that I told you about,
yes,
which was your video, but I just put it on the SwapFire channel to share with a friend, and it ended up going viral.
Cool.
185,000 people got the game on the free giveaway, so lots of people have it in their Steam library.
Okay.
But after that, and this is kind of what I saw. I mean, maybe my games just aren't that good, but what I saw in my whole career in mobile, I've made games for everything now: PC, mobile, VR, etc. If it's out there, I've made a game for it. But in a lot of these markets, I see what I call like a pop and drop effect, where you kind of catch people's attention real fast, but then there's so much competition that you just get buried unless you're. It's just a red ocean, and it's very hard to escape the red ocean. And so
but I mean, honestly, looking at SwapFire, I could have told you that. Right. I mean, there's a lot there is, I don't really want to work in straight up games anymore, but I kind of go, man, it's like I see, like I had that guy who did the Buzz game on my show, and I'm just like, these are good games, and it doesn't mean that you can make a slight change and suddenly you're a billion seller or 100,000 full price seller. But a lot of times the people who have and this might go back to what Anthony was talking to that guy about, that a lot of times just because you have the skill and the type of brain that will get your ass to sit down and code or put all the pieces of the art and the sound and the code together, you're not always that person with the brain that needs to go, is this going to break out in the sea of red? And it is very much the sea of red, right? Oh, yeah. And so sometimes I think it's like I would just love to reach out to indie devs and just go, guys, don't release this yet. Just let's look at what this is, right? And Persephone, I disagree. Great games will rise to the top. No, they won't. It's a wonderful theory. It's a wonderful platitude, and I wish it was correct. And it doesn't mean the problem with saying great games rise to the top is it's a victim of success bias, because you're only aware of the games you're aware of. And if they're great, you're like, see, it rose to the top. But you may not be aware of, trust me, I play tons of Steam games that no one's ever heard of that are excellent. And, so you really got to stack the deck in your favor, Persephone. Sorry, let's get back to your point though, which I don't know if that was your point, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a large part of the strategy in games that I picked up on, at least early on, is part of it is the direction vector of the game. It's like, it has to be something different. But even if you take something that's different and you put it into a totally red ocean, how do you identify it as different? How do you say, like, yeah, this is a new experience when there's 20,000 other games on Steam that came out that year?
Okay, well,
your chances are just so low of being noticed, and we got noticed. So I mean, I'm like, hey, my assessment though is I needed to call something else off, which is why I built my own platform. And I'm kind of at a point where
SwapFire is a real rough one though, right? Because it's really cool. But it's problematic because you're asking people to use this remote play thing that most people aren't really all that comfortable with, and they don't really understand it. And it's a pain in the ass to set up. That game, those mechanics, like I said to you, I want to see a single player game that does that. And I think you could definitely be more successful if you basically made a 3-hour single player built on that. Like you could take, and if you don't know what's the best way to pitch the sort of the high concept of Swap Fire's core mechanics, the audience who hasn't played it.
Well, I can tell you where it came from.
Well, yeah, but tell them what it is first, though, because they may not know.
When you shoot each other, you switch places.
Okay.
And the idea came this way. I was scrolling through Twitter back in 2012, and Notch had a tweet. He's like, hey, I think I'm going to partake in this 7-day first-person shooter game jam competition. It's about innovation in FPS. And as soon as I saw it, my brain just went, basically all first-person shooter games, you get to cover, you hide, and you try to pop out and shoot somebody. And my brain said, what if you had to put yourself in harm's way before you shot at somebody? And so I made this arena, had some spinning blades and stuff like that, obstacles in it. And then you could also jump off the side. And so you could jump at the spinning blades, shoot somebody, and then at the last second, if you hit them, they would hit the blades, not you. Or you'd fall off the side, and just before you lost line of sight, if you tag them, obviously they'd fall off and not you. And that's still present in Drop Zone that's in Swapfire right now, which is like the 7th map in multiplayer. So that concept's still there, but it was a risk reward thing. It was just like, take a risk before you shoot somebody. That was the actual original idea. I think we caught a lot of flack on Swapfire just because when it came time to do that training mode, which is we have like this light single player, the thing you did on the screen,
which I enjoy. It was frustrating, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. When we did that, we did all the multiplayer first, and then we were like, well, we need something to show people because the mechanics are so different.
Yeah.
And we immediately were just like, the format of Portal is actually very good for teaching people new mechanics. Let's just lift and shift that over and use that format. And so Swapfire wasn't designed to be a Portal copycat or anything like that. The original inspiration had nothing to do with Portal. It just seemed to fit what we were doing. And later on, somebody said, well, you probably should have taken the sports concept and then mixed it with that a little bit more so it wasn't so derivative. And I think that's probably right. If we had taken the training maybe and done it in different maps and teleported you around, maybe it would have alleviated us of that problem. But we made the decision that we made. It was like, we were like under super crunch, right? So I was doing consulting work. I was running a festival, doing Swapfire at the same time, trying to like make ends meet, right? I had no funding at all. I think I had like 20K in the bank before I started working on the game. And then I just said, I've got this Nintendo dev kit. I'm going to go ahead and ship this game. And I had an intern that had just graduated. So it was me and Henry Meredith, who's now a producer at Epic.
Right.
And so he had just graduated college at the time and had made like one little click together game himself. And so he and I predominantly working on the game with a couple of contributors that would jump in and help out, like Vince White or Eric Scott. So Adrian Tissot. And then for the most part, it was me at the keyboard for, how many hours was I was putting in 120 hours a week. So
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. Very hard to ship. I mean, we shipped it in like 16 months, with no funding or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, and it is rough around the edges. So a lot of the complaints about something like Swapfire are like, whoa, you made a first person shooter. Why don't you have all of these options that are normally available in a first person shooter? And it's like, well, you made a very different first-person shooter.
Right. There is absolutely no, and there shouldn't be amongst the customer, but they're not trained to understand or care about your development situation. It's like, oh, well, it's like, I don't care. It's like, I got my own shit I got to deal with. And so I paid for your game or I gave you my time. And if it's not, I'll go play Doom, right? Whatever. And it sucks, but that's the way it is, which is why you've got to counter it with something, right?
Something different. Yeah.
Which I think is kind of part of the fun. Like I look at Swapfire's core mechanic and I go, to mix that with what a lot of people call like a walking simulator, like a horror game, and somehow come up with a character that has this ability. And so it's not multiplayer. And it doesn't have to look realistic. It can look like a low poly, abstract horror game, but just kind of find a really cool way to go because horror, people love horror. It's a good sub niche. But there are a lot of samey things, right, in horror. So if you could somehow take that gameplay of single player tutorial Swapfire, put it into like a 3-hour, just really intense horror based game, I think that could do well. Like it wouldn't do, billion well, but it would be like, okay, we could, be profitable with that. You know, we could actually build a little bit of momentum with that. Is what I would say.
Yeah, thematically and graphics and stuff. It's hard to catch people's eye. The way I always looked at it was, if you're an indie, your job is to set a new direction for stuff, and if you set a direction that people like, then you can kind of scale it up. You do a more polished version, whatever. That, I don't know if that interpretation is correct, but that was always
it can be. But these days, there's, like you said, the competition now, it's so fierce that you just gotta, you gotta knock them for a loop. And a lot of indie games don't do it. They don't put the effort into it.
It's true. And a lot of the folks that are really talented, I feel like, you have on the societal scale, it seems like you have people that are of a certain degree of talent, but also a certain degree of risk taking. And they are usually people that will get into the new thing early. They're quick enough to figure it out. They're talented enough to make a splash. But at some point, you've got folks that are like, to me, it seems like you've got folks that are super talented. They don't really take risk. But by the time that they're in the game, it's like, well, that's the most talented programmer, most talented artist, and how can I compete with that? I'm a little, personally, I feel like I'm a little bit of a risk taker. I can figure stuff out quick, but when it comes to being like the most talented programmer, the most talented artist, or whatever, like, I'm not that person. And so I look at a lot of the indie games today and I just go, wow, they're so mind blowing.
But but I imagine you can go, there is a strength you have, right? Which is something, build around that, right?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the new platform. It's a little difficult to explain.
Yeah, I get it. You can show me. I'd love to see it later. I'd love to see what you're making, but I know you don't want to show it on the thing. So
just carving out a little niche, and I don't know if I'll return to making PC or console games at some point, or if I'll keep working on this, or I put my hat in the ring for other stuff, as whether or not that stuff happens or not, I want to put the option out there. If it's an option that's picked up on, then it's one that I'd be willing to serve. And if it's not, then I'm going to continue on my journey, what I've been doing.
Are you talking about the option of the Twisted Metal thing?
Yeah, something like that, some type of collaboration. Okay. If you decided that
I would love. Here's what I'll just tell you now, since I got you, because I'm always so busy, I never get around to it. Is I'd love some tweakers, because I was flipping the car over a lot. Yep. And I'd love to be able to have on my end that I could kind of tune it and to get to a point, because I was never able to drive it enough that I could really judge whether I thought it was working or not, because it flips really easily. So I don't know if that's a tweaker for mass or a tweaker for rotation or whatever. But if you can throw in, a hand, like 10 tweakers that you think would be really useful to kind of really bang on it, I would love to pick it up, and I'll stream the process. I'd love to show people. That would be excellent.
That would be super cool. I do think some type of like live game development. I was actually wondering about your opinion on that. So I always had the idea that it would be fun to do like a live game jam type thing and like iterate. I don't know if it might be boring for people. I'm not sure.
It'll be boring for some people. Some people, it's like playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I've been streaming D&D on my channel on Sundays now. And, there are some people that are into it, but most people, it's kind of, if you want to be a programmer or a game developer, it's probably interesting, but I don't think it's in and of itself compelling content. So
that would be it's neat. So I'll work on when I get
when you get some time, and if you're interested in it, that was my first response, which is, I think this could be really cool, but I'm still not entirely sure because I keep flipping this fucking thing.
Yeah, were you hitting the sides of the curb? Was that causing it, or was it like just on turns? I can't remember. I don't
remember. It was definitely difficult to drive. Let's put it that way. So, all right. Cool, man. Always good to talk to you. Thank you for all the support. I'll see you soon. All right, man. There he goes. Swap fire off into the evening, fellas. Wade, you're on. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, Jaffe?
You're great. What's up?
Oh, yeah. You can hear me all right, though?
Yep. What do you want to talk about, bud?
Perfect. Well, I had a few topics I was thinking about. I recently watched an interview between Christopher Dring and Sean Layden, and I had some surprising disagreements with Sean Layden. And then I started listening to you talk about other stuff, and I thought, I also have some good questions about religion. I don't know which one you would prefer.
Let's do religion first.
Okay. So you said you were raised Jewish, correct?
Yeah, I mean, not seriously raised. Like I had a bar mitzvah, but it wasn't like we were a really religious Jewish family. My mom was Southern Baptist. She converted to marry my dad. A lot of it seemed to be more performative in the sense that, you know, it wasn't that my dad didn't like his religion or I think my brother still considers himself, well, he's an atheist, but he's culturally, I think he likes the culture of it. But, you know, I guess I was raised Jewish, but not in a way that would mean that I understand the religion and can speak about it all that much.
Okay, I was actually kind of similar, but for Christianity, where I was raised Christian, didn't really know that much about it, went to church pretty regularly until I was about 10 years old, and then we kind of stopped. And by the time I was about 14, I became an atheist just because I had too many questions that weren't being answered.
Right. Yep.
But I found that, like, recently, I guess recently, in the last 5 years, my now wife was in a very religious family, and it was a bit of a point of contention throughout our relationship starting out. And I don't know, I just started doing more research on it. And the more research I did on it, the more I found that, I don't know, I felt like my beliefs were more true, that like I didn't understand how so many people could believe in a religion. And it made me almost question, like, how do I know that I'm not falling in like the same traps they are with like confirmation bias?
Right. Well, I'll give you my thoughts. 1 second. Kevin, thank you for the super chat. He says, big fan of the show. Would you jack off Swap Fire? If the price is right, if I don't have to do anything other than just make a motion and he can slide in and put whatever it needs to be in my hand, give me $1 million bucks. Sure. You goddamn right. All right. Thanks, buddy. Okay. Let's go back to the very serious topic of God. How do you know you're not falling into confirmation bias being an atheist?
Yes.
I think you're right. I think that's why I've always been agnostic atheist. I think anybody who's an atheist is probably just as lost as people who are religious. Because yeah.
I would say I sort of agree with you there in the fact that we can't know like if God exists or not. Like I understand that part. Okay. But when you go deeper into each individual religion, I feel like you can disprove like I don't know, Islam and Christianity just by showing like how so many things about those religions have been proven to be false.
Well, yeah, that's why people go, how can you be an agnostic atheist? And I say, because I'm an atheist when it comes to all the religions that we know. I don't believe. Now, is it possible that we, because we may have a spiritual gene and because of the way people come up in different parts of the world, it's going to be different, but there's a fundamental truth and that may point to something, maybe. But I definitely do not believe in the literal stories in any religion that has been presented to me yet. So I'm atheist in that way. And I think that's the only logical response. Doesn't mean that's right. The only kind of response. You can have an emotional response or a spiritual response, but the only logical response is atheism. The only to the religions that we know, but the only logical response to is there a God or is what is happening is agnosticism, I would say.
Right. I agree with you there. I guess my other kind of follow-up is like, since I do kind of agree with you with all this stuff, but I also feel like we need to have evidence to really back up our beliefs. Like, where did you do research to kind of find out if you are correct or not?
Well, as a agnostic, I get a get out of jail free card. I don't have to be correct. I don't know anything. The only thing that I know is I don't know. And so in that, I win. But I mean, it's not like I'm consciously putting my chips on the table and saying, I've seen what you haven't seen. I'm just kind of like, I'd love to know what's going on. I would hate to think any of the religions that have been presented to me as genuine religions are real, because they all have aspects to them that I think are not acceptable to me. But fundamentally, I don't know what's going on. And the only thing that's going to change that is some evidence of what is going on. And so if you've got that to offer, great. If not, it's very comfortable for my brain to go, just to sit in the unknown and sit in the lack of, like, I think some people struggle because they really don't like sitting in the suck of the chaos and the mystery that is life. And I would prefer not to as well. But the one thing non-religious Buddhist philosophy has taught me is, that it's you don't have to you don't have to be, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be in a place where you are aware of your own discomfort with the lack of information and just be like, all right, that's what this is. And don't fight against it. Just kind of accept it and go, all right, that's what it is. That's what we got. And we may never know. And that's too, but oh, well, what's for lunch? I mean, it's the only way to be sane, I think, is what I would say.
Yeah. So it almost seems like they're almost relying on it to be like a coping mechanism, but
I think
people need that.
I think so. I think, and that's why I don't wholesale think religion's awful. I think it does at an individual level bring people comfort, and I would not want to take that from people, but at the same time, I think that I'd like to hope that we're going to evolve out of the need to make stories up for things we don't understand and just be okay going, yes, this is scary. This is confusing. We don't know what's going on, and let's go from there. Let's build with that versus stories that are nonsensical.
I 100% agree. I just almost wish we could fast forward that track. And again, this is confirmation bias, but I find a lot of people that I disagree with on other topics do tend to be religious. And I almost wonder if like the two are related. And even some like shows that I watch are about like atheism and stuff that are a little bit more extreme than even I am. They make a point that when you are training your brain to believe a religion, you are also training it to be okay with the lack of evidence, and that allows you to fall for other things that aren't true. And apparently,
I don't know if that's true, but it sounds true. But
yeah, I don't know either. And actually, they brought up evidence that apparently even like scam callers will actually try to target areas that are known to be more religious because apparently they tend to be more gullible for other things.
Yeah, I mean, now again, you can cite really smart people, learned people, I guess, as they say, that are religious. So it doesn't mean it's all or nothing in that way, but I do agree that there does seem to be, a connection there. But look, man, all I'll tell you is this idea of people who genuinely believe in God or some religion, maybe they do have a sense of faith in them that they were born with and that comes to them. But if they do, I don't. And so, I guess you can blame me, or maybe I'm just a broken person and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But what I'm not going to do is, the kind of brain I was born with is not one that's going to take something at all, let alone something as big as the question of God, on just sort of, sure, I believe. I just believe. No, I can't do that. So, if God's real, then I'm sure he'll understand. I'm like, hey, I didn't make my brain, baby. That was you.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of boils down to just critical thinking in general. And I almost wonder, like, I actually in university took a course on critical thinking just for fun as an elective. And I almost thought, like, this should be mandatory in high school, even. Like, critical thinking can apply to everything.
Oh, critical thinking, media literacy. But, the problem, of course, is that the more you teach people to think critically, the less you can manipulate them into buying your stupid shit. And I don't mean religion necessarily, but that's part of it. But it's also just products or laws or governments. I mean, it's great. The stupider we are, the better.
What would it take for like a government to try to like require critical thinking classes in high school if they thought that it might make it more difficult to lie to people to then get them into power? Like,
my understanding, and I could be wrong, but I've been told that the public school system was founded in order to generate workers for factories and for businesses and stuff. So an educated population, you can get too educated and then it becomes not worth spending the money, which then is problematic because only the wealthy are the ones that are teaching kids to think a certain way. And then you get into a point where you have to probably go, how do you deal with the people that understand how easy a lot of people that don't have your education are to manipulate? And how do we make sure that that person becomes someone who is kind about that versus someone that uses that to basically make money and sees other people as just a means to an end? And that's what I think a lot of these fucking you get the kind of money these people like Elon Musk have and stuff. And I don't think you can see people anymore as people, except the people in your family that are close to you. I think you just look at them as part of the machine that makes you money.
Yep.
And I think it fucks with your brain, man. It's really problematic. And so I don't think it's going to be coming from the schools. Maybe it'll come from the internet. Maybe I don't know where it's going to come from, but
I was just trying to think, what could we do as a society to make, I don't know, just everybody see through lies better. But I guess if you can't do it in schools, I don't know how else you do it where it helps everybody.
It's gotta start somewhere, because like, even on my show, I see people, even on my show, I see people coming in and, saying things based on nothing other than what some other YouTuber has said. And even when I show them, like yesterday, this lawsuit for that Alyssa filed, even when I show them that, it's just, they're not interested. Right. They want to it's tribal. You got to figure out a way to train these people out of their tribalism, and just go, look, but it's been rough in that way. So, okay.
All right, well, if you want,
all right, buddy.
Switch to
Thank you, Wade.
Sean Layden, or you have anything else?
Oh,
or you're done. That's fine too.
I want to see what Persephone's talking about first. What are you saying? It takes a flawed. Well, hang on, don't go anywhere. It takes a flawed human to know. I don't understand what you're saying, Persephone. Wade, what about Sean Layden?
So I watched an interview of him and Chris Dring on GameIndustry.biz, and I actually was very curious what people thought, but they have their comments turned off on their videos. So I have no idea. But they were kind of going over.
Yeah, what was the gist?
It was 7 months old, but they were going over the AAA industry and how Sean Layden was saying it was unsustainable, and then it kind of started talking into like the console business and how that Sean Layden was saying that like much just purchasing things is the wrong idea and how they were being creative enough. And he also kind of led into how the console market's been stagnant about 250 million plus or minus a little bit.
That's right, for a very long time.
And he was saying it's never going to grow because, and his reason that it wasn't going to grow is because we're reliant on safe AAA instead of getting creative with like indies to then gauge a new market. And I just thought that didn't sound right to me, because I think even if a very awesome new indie were to come out, I don't think anyone outside of that 250 million would then be like, oh, I need to buy a console now to play this game that I saw.
Right. I think what, I think you've got, if you really want to grow the market, I think you need to do a couple things. I mean, I think it's already sort of happening when you look at younger generation of gamers. They're playing more on their phones and PCs and tablets, but forget tablets, let's say PCs and phones. And those are things that are just in their lives, and the games come to them. The idea of being such an aficionado that you're going to buy a console and then you're going to put up with this controller and all this shit. I mean, that is a great hobby and it's great to have that, but to expect that that's ever going to become as ubiquitous as watching a film, I think that's not happening. And I think that's a big part of it. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of the kind of more traditional games on console, for whatever reason, a lot of people want to tell you, whether it's DEI or not perform as well as expected, because the budgets went up, the audience didn't grow, and the audience is getting, I think, smaller for games like that, because the kids coming up today, that's not what they're looking for. That's not how games have been defined to them when they've grown up. It's been service games, and it's been social games, and it's been, playing kind of a cheap shooter on Discord, but it's fun because you're playing with your friends. That's kind of what is moving the needle for those kids. So I think Layden's right about the cap, but I don't think it's going to be having more indie games. I think it's going to be pretty much getting streaming games and accepting that PC or some kind of PC. the idea of limiting it to a console, let alone splitting it again and saying it's only the Sony console or the Xbox console, it's fun for channels like this, but that's not the future of interactive entertainment. It can't be. It's too limiting.
That's where I disagreed with him, because he was saying that like almost like more creative games is what was needed to then grow the console market, which maybe that's why he doesn't work at PlayStation anymore. But I just disagreed. I feel like barrier to entry is the biggest thing. It's convenience.
Right. Convenience, difficulty. And again, people love that. People love the fact that they're sweating through hard mode of Ninja Gaiden Black 2. And that's great. But you're not going to get that pie any bigger with that being your main. Yeah, it's not happening. But I'm interested in what Amy Hennig's doing. I know she hasn't announced much yet, but it seems more and more like she is trying to make a big budget mainstream narrative game that anyone can play that feels more kind of like As Dusk Falls. That's my guess. I don't know if that's true, but I definitely think it's important. So anyway, buddy, thank you for the call. Good to talk to you. I'll see you later.
Sounds good. See ya.
All right, wait. All right, fellas. I think for now we're going to wrap it up. We will be back with a proper game show this afternoon, around 4. Let's lock it. Let's give you a time. Okay, it's already 1 o'clock. Let's say 5 o'clock. Well, Tech, what's safe? What should our show be this afternoon so we can at least tell people, because they're asking for a schedule. They want a schedule. I'm going to say we will be back this afternoon at let's see, 6:30. We'll be back 6:30 California time. If you're on the East Coast, that'll be 8:30 for you. And well, I'm going to say 6. I'm going to say 6. We're doing 6. We'll be back at 6 o'clock California time with a Gabbing Games, all video game news and discussion. And hope I'll see you then. If not, thank you for the super chats, the memberships. Lutron, thank you for those big donations. Very, very kind. Very appreciated. And I will see you guys hopefully really, really soon. Be well, be safe. And that's all I got. Bye, you guys.